You're listening to the Screaming Pods Network.
Something's coming.
Stand by. Hold on to your hats, here we go.
Welcome to the Screamcast, episode 157. I am Sean DeRager, and with me is Stephanie Crawford.
Hey.
Also joining along in the fun is Brad Henderson.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the show. Today...
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. I, thought about it for a while, and I figured I might as well. Today we are talking about Vinegar Syndrome. It is our kind of quarterly, but we don't really go by quarters because I have no idea what quarter's what, but Vinegar Syndrome extravaganza. So we'll be jumping in to a plethora of Vinegar Syndrome titles. Also included during the show will be an interview that Stephanie Crawford and I did with director of Terror, Norman J. Warren. So we have a lot of shit to get to in this episode. I'm excited.
I'm excited. Are you excited? You just said you were excited, so you must be excited.
I'm excited too, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to be more enthusiastic to make up for Brad.
I know. We got to... Well...
I have to be obnoxious.
Wait. I'm super excited.
Okay.
There we go.
You are. Okay. Before we get going on our episode today, we're going to do a mini What's on Your Doorstep segment right now.
Holy cow, I almost forgot.
We'll get the door. Pizza.
The reason why I want to do this is because Vinegar Syndrome just had their halfway to Black Friday sale. And hot damn, did they have some deals. I saw some posts on Facebook and Twitter and some of the groups that I follow on Facebook. People were making out like banshees, like boxes just full of stuff. So a lot of people kind of wait for the sale and they stock up. I wanted to go through real quick what you guys and myself purchased from the sale. Is that cool?
Sure.
I'll start.
You guys go first. Yeah.
I got an awesome t-shirt with it looks like a Black Flag t-shirt, but it's little film strips. And on the back it says Vincent. Pretty badass. And I also got a trucker hat that makes my small head look even smaller. But it's a cool trucker hat with a film reel with horns. But they're big. So if you have a small head like myself, you got to make sure you adjust that so it kind of looks decent. And when you take a selfie of it, you got to kind of make sure you turn your head just right so it kind of aligns and looks good. So either I got to grow myself a big old beard and grow my hair out long for it to look good on me, or I'll just have it like hanging on a wall.
That's good to know because I have a giant head. It's like too big for most hats. So that's good to know.
All right. But I also did buy their limited edition films. I have not opened up and watched them yet. But I'm told that I will like them. Deadly Daphne's Revenge and Pets. And I'm going to let Brad talk about these films a little bit because he kind of talked me into buying them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did I buy these movies?
Because I told you to. Well, I think you'll like Deadly Daphne. She's a babe. But anyways, that movie is insane. It's everything that Vinegar Syndrome stands for. It's just out there, insane, and a lot of fun. Another one, I think it's one of those Troma movies that Troma released based off of their buying those other films. The other film was Pets, which was originally a Code Red release, so I never got around to purchasing the DVD, but I got to watch it recently for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. It's different. But I think it's one of those I don't want to give too much away. But it's a little weird, but it's also, I don't know, it's a good little sexploitation flick.
Okay.
But yeah, I think they're both really solid. The fact that they're special, I'm not 100% sure. You know, it's not like something like Liquid Sky.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was kind of different that they put them together.
Yeah, because Deadly Daphne's Revenge,
special.
they're not going to reprint. Like, they're just going to let this sell out.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I guess that's one of the reasons why maybe it was kind of like a deal of how many they were allowed to print.
Yeah.
But, anyways.
Cool. Well, I also do want to do one more plug. This is not Vinegar Syndrome, what's on my doorstep, but I did want to give a shout out to Michael Vaughn. He's on Twitter. I believe his Twitter handle is strange_cinema or something like that. But he came out with a book called The Ultimate Guide to Strange Cinema. And it's pretty badass little book. It's a bunch of little essays, mini essays on a bunch of movies he's been watching throughout the years. A bunch of, I mean, if you're a Vinegar Syndrome fan, there's a lot of stuff you're gonna like. He covers weird movies like Aliens Cut My Hair, and then films like Visitor Q. But then he also does like some newer ones like Alleluia and Amer and things like that. So kind of a fun little book. I believe it's reasonably priced. You can check it out, but I wanted to give him a little plug because the book's pretty cool. So it's always fun to have more movie books on my shelf. All right. Stephanie or Brad, did you guys buy anything on the Vinegar Syndrome sale?
Nope.
No? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hey, you're the one that wanted to do this. You didn't ask us, like, hey, did you buy anything?
I know.
You just say, hey, let's
Stephanie, did you?
No.
And if not, it's fine. It's fine. I wanted to make sure I mentioned they're halfway to Black Friday sale. So be prepared next year if you missed this one.
All right. So, I mean, recently I picked up Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the Arrow release. I recently got the Arrow release of Carrie in the mail. So I got that going for me.
Okay. Stephanie, did you buy anything from Vinegar Syndrome?
I picked up My Friend Dahmer. That came out on Blu-ray. I highly suggest watching that.
Okay.
I watched Tremors. I picked up Tremors. It's fucking terrible.
Tremors 6 or
Wait,
the first
new one?
Tremors?
Yeah, Tremors 6.
Okay, you need to clarify, sir.
Yeah.
I picked up the Shout Selective Big Bad Mama.
Okay. All right.
So I got that. And I also picked up Kaleidoscope, another Shout Factory release that I've been hearing a lot of good things about. Toby Jones is in it. Apparently it's kind of Giallo influenced. So I got that going for me.
So, Stephanie, back to the halfway to Black Friday sale from Vinegar Syndrome.
Uh-huh.
Did you make any purchases for that or no?
I did. But real quick, I didn't get either of the 2 new titles because one, I was pretty broke and I wasn't sure about them. Brad, do you think I would like Deadly Daphne's Revenge?
Yeah, I think you'd have some fun with it.
Yeah, so I'll probably order that when they open their store back up.
Yeah, I think you would be better with pets, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Just how I peg you. I'm usually right about your taste, but I think you would like. I think you would like pets more. I mean, it's 2 totally different movies. I think it's what you're in the mood for. If you're in the mood for batshit craziness, Deadly Daphne. If you're in the mood for something a more obscure, kind of tamer title, but then I think Pets would be the way to go.
Okay, so I'll end up with both of them because I'm a sucker. So like I mentioned, I was pretty broke when the sale was going on. So I just grabbed my own copy of Bloodsuckers from Outer Space because I really wanted that slipcover. I also grabbed Prey because unlike Brad, I love that movie. And I also wanted that beautiful slipcover. And I finally grabbed Sweet Sugar. After many people telling me I was really dumb for not owning it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You're not dumb for not owning it. You just hadn't got it yet. You just hadn't gotten around to purchasing it.
Now I'm smart.
Don't let the internet bully you, Stephanie. Don't let people tell you what you should be
they
doing.
know everything.
Awesome. Like I said, these halfway to Black Friday sale definitely worth checking out, and especially a lot of fun for discovering these kind of limited edition ones. And whenever, I mean, I don't know, I feel like Vinegar Syndrome has kind of sold me on, like, whenever they say there's these secret titles and we're gonna do these limited edition to check them out. I always feel I never feel like I've been burned by a limited edition purchase. So they do a good job on these, and they're always kind of a lot of fun to discover.
Nightmare.
What's
You
that?
didn't like it.
Oh, I didn't like Runaway Nightmare. But I think I bought a reprint of that one though. Or no, did I spend a lot of money? I think I got that from eBay. Oh, you know what? I think now that I've watched so many Vinegar Syndrome titles, I need to swing back around and check out Runaway Nightmare, because I may actually, now that I kind of know what to expect, I may dig it. I was,
Dude,
I was young, and
If you still don't like it, you can send it to me.
Okay, all right, that's the deal. Joining us now is Josh Obershaw for some Blu-ray release news. We've gotten dumped on a lot of releases, so
Yeah, we sure did. I've got plenty to talk about, so we're gonna start with Arrow. They announced their August batch. See what we got here. Well, first one listed is Tideland, and it's going to be a US UK release. The US release is August 14th, and UK, of course, is the day before. Next up, Apprentice to Murder. This is a UK only release that's coming out on the 20th. Let's see, another UK US release, Street Mobster. That is going to be released on the 6th and 7th. What Have They Done to Your Daughters? That is a US only release for the 14th of August. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for Arrow. Not exactly one of the most exciting months, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with any of the titles.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's some things that I haven't heard of and I'm interested in, but I'm like cautiously optimistic. So I'll have to kind of wait and see as people start getting these and do some research on these films. But I mean, if you've heard of the films, if you're a fan of them, I'm sure they're going to be pretty fantastic releases. So
absolutely. And next up, we've got news from Vinegar Syndrome. As you know, they had their halfway to Black Friday sale. They put out 2 limited editions. Okay, one of them's called Pets. I forgot what the other one was called.
Deadly Daphne's Revenge.
Thank you. And those, I don't know how many they. Last I heard, they only had 250 copies of Deadly Daphne's Revenge. I don't know how many copies of Pets they have, but they were going by pretty fast.
Yeah, Deadly Daphne's Revenge is one that they're just gonna this is the only chance it'll be available. So once it's gone, it's gone. Right. Pets might see another pressing later on, kind of like what happened with Liquid Sky. Sky, right?
Yeah.
And Ice Cream Man. So we'll see. Yeah, but Deadly Daphne's Revenge, I hear it's kind of batshit crazy. So if you're into that and you want to take a chance on something, go for it. The good news is about these limited editions is if it's out, it's out. If it's out of print, you can probably resell it for the amount that you bought it for. So there's that if you're kind of thinking, about taking a chance on these.
So there's hope.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch it. It's on deck to watch soon.
Cool. You have to let me know how it is.
I shall.
But Vinegar Syndrome also announced their June package. It includes Grave Robbers, which is going to be a Blu-ray DVD combo, limited slipcover edition of 1500. And they've got a double feature Blu-ray DVD combo of Blood Feeder and The Visitants. That's also going to be a limited slipcover edition of 1500. And the DVD onlys are going to be Naughty Network and Miss Magnificent. So there's your June package for Vinegar Syndrome. Done and done. And we got some exciting news from Severn Films. 1980s The Changeling is finally getting a Blu-ray release, and that is going to be coming out on August 7th, and it's going to have a new 4K restoration of the film. Severn is also putting that together with one of their usual bundle packages like they did for Burial Ground and what was the other one? Oh, yeah, Kathy's Curse.
Oh, yeah.
So Severn is not only giving you the 4K restoration, but they're definitely giving you bang for your buck with these bundles.
Yeah, The Changeling is fantastic. I have the DVD of it, and I mean it's George C. Scott, and it's a fantastic kind of gothic horror in a sense because he's alone in this gigantic house. He's kind of gone away because he's full of grief because the car accident kills his wife and daughter. So he's like, feeling the presence of a ghost in this house, and it's good. It's like understated, but then it gets really good. George C. Scott is, I mean, he's always fantastic. So this is one that I've been waiting for quite some time to get a good release, and I'm so happy Severin grabbed it, and they're pulling out all the stops of this one. I think they're even doing like a stress ball. Is that
yeah, that's right. That's one of the goodies included is a stress ball.
I haven't thought awesome about that. Like going to a horror movie with a stress ball of some sort. I'm actually, I know some people have been talking about Hereditary, and somebody was mentioning that they're going to bring their stress ball to the screenings. And I was like, that's actually a really great idea. I can't believe I haven't thought about that.
What else have we got? Quick little new movie release. A71 Entertainment and Image Entertainment are putting out another Wolf Cop on July 3rd. So if you like the first one, which I did, this might be right up your alley.
Oh, yeah. I hear it's great.
Right. Full Moon Features is releasing a limited edition of the 1978 movie Laser Blast with a retro VHS big box package, which also comes with a action figure of the alien in the movie with the vintage Kenner Star Wars style card. And as far as feature, that's pretty much the only special thing about this. The previous Blu-ray just came with a commentary, and that's being ported over to this. So there's really nothing different except the VHS box and the alien action figure. But if you want it, it's going to be August 14th. That's the release date for that. Next up, Kino Lorber. We've got two from Kino Lorber coming out. The first one is going to be the 1983 TV movie The Day After, directed by Nicholas Wrath of Khan Meyer, starring Jason Robards, Steve Guttenberg, Joe Beth Williams, and John Lithgow. There's going to be two versions of this. The original TV cut, which runs 122 minutes, and it's in the standard old school TV format, and a theatrical cut, which runs 127 minutes, and that has the 1.78 to 1 ratio. This one comes out on August 7th. But the big news from Kino Lorber, guess what? Deep Rising. It's getting a Blu-ray,
Yes.
20th anniversary Blu-ray release, a 4K remaster. It's going to be loaded with extras, and that comes out August 21st.
Awesome.
And last but not least, we've got a whole lot of Shout Factory for you. First up, Shout Select. Not exactly horror, but Valley Girl is getting a Blu-ray release that's going to be loaded, and it's going to be out on October 16th.
Yes, this one's great. If you've never seen Valley Girl, you are missing out. It's one of my favorite Nick Cage movies. I saw this, I saw this so long ago, and I was floored by it. I've always loved this movie. I own the soundtrack on vinyl, and
I love the soundtrack.
It's just really great. I mean, Deborah Foreman is in it. I mean, it's great. If you love like 80s kind of sex comedy type movies or teen films from that age, coming of age films or whatever, this is great because it has the comedy in there, but it also there's like actual drama in it, and it's really good. And Nick Cage is charming as hell in this, especially with his triangle shaped chest hair. When you first see him on the beach, it's fantastic. So if you're a hairy guy like me, there's some hairy chest love in this film. It's great. I've often been inspired to shave my chest hair into that triangle, but I have not done it yet. And I can't remember why. I think they told him, like the producers or the director were like, "You need to shave," and he was just like, I think he refused to do it, or that's how he showed up, and they were just like, "Fuck it, we'll film it."
That's so weird.
Yeah,
I guess that's one of the crazy stories I'm going to hear about on the bonus features. I've seen the movie a long time ago. I love the soundtrack. It's my kind of romance movie.
yeah.
So
and E.G. Daily is in it. who's just
that's
cute
right.
as a button. Oh my gosh.
How could you not love Elizabeth Daily?
Oh man, yeah.
Another quick update from Shout Select. This might be old news at this point, but I just want to remind people, Wild at Heart has been delayed. There was some kind of error, so they pushed the release back until August 21st.
Okay.
Next, we go to Scream Factory. Okay, this is where it's going to get good. First up is going to be Brain Dead. Not the Peter Jackson movie that's known here in the United States as Dead Alive. This is the movie starring Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman. That one comes out on September 11th. Details for that are to be determined. The Evil is getting a standalone Blu. It's going to be a 2K transfer. The extras are going to be ported over for the DVD, and that one comes out September 18th. Next up is 1988's The Seventh Sign with Demi Moore. The extras are still to be determined for this one. This one's also coming out on September 11th. Anything else? Oh, yeah. September 25th is going to be a big release day for Scream Factory. First up, The Wreck Collection. All 4 films in the Wreck series in their own case, housed in a rigid slip box. We don't have details on the extras just yet. Next up, The Bride.
I think the extras will either make it or break it on this one, because Rec 3 and 4 I wasn't a huge fan of. They're okay, but Rec, the first one and the sequel are, I mean, it's one of my favorite sequels. And if you like create a list of sequels that were as good as or better than the film, Rec 2 definitely in spades is great. And I own Rec 1 and 2. I think I imported them from, I think it was Canada or somewhere. I imported them somewhere, so I have them on Blu-ray here. So it's if their extras are to die for, then I'll get the whole set, and can reevaluate 3 or 4. So I'm kind of waiting to see what they're going to be offering for that one.
That sounds pretty fair. I don't own any of these, but I've seen the first 3. The last one I skipped out on because I didn't hear a very positive reaction to that last one.
Well, because they shift from first person into just kind of standard splatter film, right? That
was part of that. Was like
Rec
a really
3,
big
I know,
reason
kind of
why.
changed halfway through from it's like at a wedding.
But that was still. I still like 3 a hell of a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I'm totally up for reevaluating these films for sure. I'm never gonna not want to reevaluate something if I am on the fence. So
it's definitely a good series to revisit if you haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
Next up for the 25th is going to be The Bride. This is the 1985 Frankenstein film starring Sting, Jennifer Beals, and Clancy Brown.
I'm so in on this one, man. I've never even heard of this movie, and when I saw them announce it, I was like, where have I been? How have I not even heard about this? So I don't know if this just skipped DVD or I have no idea. I guess it did get a DVD. I don't know, man. I just never heard of this one. I don't understand why.
Oh man, I remember this as a kid.
Really, man. This is going to be a fun one to kind of see for the first time.
This was one of those movies that was on HBO quite a bit back in the day. But no extras as of yet for that one. Let's see. I mentioned The Seventh Sign. Big Wreck Collection. What else is coming out? Oh, yeah. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Next Generation.
Yes.
Starring McConaughey, Renee Zellweger. Details still be determined. Actually, they're going to be announced in August. And it will be a collector's edition.
This one's going to be fun. People shit on this film all the time, but it does have that kind of cult. It's kind of built this cult following. But I mean, Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey starring in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I mean, it's like, who doesn't want to see that if you haven't seen it? But it's funny to see how these movies kind of build the cult followings. I've always, heard it lambasted and everything, but I think the making of the film is very, very interesting. And I want to say, were they interviewed recently? There was something recently that I either read or saw about them, one of them talking about the film, and I thought that was great. And if they can get Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey on screen for interviews for this, that price, that's enough. I'm on board. That's worth the admission price for sure.
Oh, totally. I mean, I've seen this movie a couple of times, and I wasn't really sure how to feel about it, especially the way it ended. I remember, but I would love to see this one again, definitely, and also the whatever extras they have lined up. I'm sure there's going to be a lot, and they're going to be good. Yeah,
I hope so. Like I said, sometimes movies like this, even if they're not that great, the special features and interviews and documentaries and hearing about the film, well, it makes the movie even better. And I think that's kind of what's happened through the years with this film, is people have kind of heard the stories and everything, and the nightmare of just even getting the film put together. And I mean, that happened with the latest Warner Brothers archive. Is it Warner Brothers Archives? Warner Archives. Sorry, I'm
number
sorry,
3.
the brothers in there. The Warner Archives release of their Texas Chainsaw Massacre release of which one was that?
It was number 3.
Number 3. Okay, I'm getting all the timeline screwed up, but that one, is another one that it's kind of fun to hear the stories about the making of that and how the director feels about it and things like that. So,
oh, definitely.
Do we have? Yeah, I know else?
There's a. Was that?
Do we have anything else?
We've got one more thing.
Ooh, what is it?
Exorcist II the Heretic.
Oh man, I don't know what could save this one though. they would have to have some really, really good interviews and documentaries on this one, because
it is going to be a 2-disc collector's edition, and there's going to be 2 versions of the movie, and we can confirm that there's a new interview with Linda Blair.
Okay, all right.
So already I'm sold. I'm sold because this movie is crazy.
It was funny seeing the reactions to this, where most of the time, like with the Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation, there were some people kind of booing it and whatever, but there's some people that were championing it. This one, I don't think I saw one person on their Facebook page excited about it. I felt kind of bad because it was just negative post after negative post underneath their initial announcement. So we'll see. I have that Exorcist box set, and that's the only place that I've seen it. So I don't know if there's another cut on that one. So I'm always a fan of checking out different cuts of a film and kind of reevaluating based on those. So who knows, man? I'm trying to be positive about this one. This one I might wait for like next year's summer slasher sale or whatever, and I'll probably put on sale.
I could have sworn I saw one positive reaction to the news of this release on Twitter.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. That was mine. Never mind.
No, there was a couple. It was just on their Facebook page. It was brutal, though. I kind of feel bad sometimes when they, it's negative post after negative post. Oh, well, what are you going to do? But the funny thing is, over half those people that are complaining, they're going to buy it. They are, because it's in a slipcover.
Oh, of course.
And it's a collector's edition, and they're going to want to complete their collection.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the Blu-ray news I have for you.
Awesome. Josh, thanks, man, for giving us the info. And everyone, if you're listening to this and you talk to Brad Henderson online, make sure he listens to this segment, because he missed out on the Escape from Absalom, a.k.a.
No Escape
announcement, and he didn't know about it till like a week and a half later. And I'm just saying, if you want to keep up to date with this stuff, you got to listen to the segment.
Yep.
I know that I always end up buying a few things every time we talk, so I'm sure. All right, Josh, thanks, man. We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Take it easy, you guys. See you later.
So without further ado, though, we got a lot of shit to cover, so we need to get into this. Time is money, as they say. But the person that told me that was a prostitute. So, moving along, let's jump into this. Let's talk about the first Blu-ray on the agenda. We will talk about Star Time. Now, we did cover this. Yeah.
Coming at you.
We did cover this in depth in the first episode of the year, actually, and then we got the the announcement that it was being released on Blu-ray, and there was much rejoicing. I wanted to mention very quickly, because we've discussed this film quite a bit, but we need to mention like the Blu-ray transfer and everything that's involved with this disc, because a lot of people, when they saw this being released, and they're like, well, what the hell, Star Time? And we said, you need to buy Star Time because it's amazing. I said during the VHS, when we talked about the VHS, that I really would have loved to see this in HD, and goddamn, did it not disappoint. This thing was like almost a completely other movie rewatching this on Blu-ray. I loved it even more. What did you guys think?
It was really great. I actually didn't watch the Blu-ray because I saw the movie a bunch when I was younger. And
you didn't even compare scenes?
No, it's still sealed.
Wow.
I trust it's great. Maybe one day I'll rewatch it again.
Okay.
I mean, it's not one of those films that you rewatch a lot, so it's like I saw it maybe, I don't know, maybe twice, three times for sure, I guess. Listening to the old episode, I'm probably making that up. But yeah, I mean, it's not something like, oh, let me go home and watch Star Time. I mean, it's great for the first. I mean, I think watching it in HD would probably be the better thing to do, just because of how, it's always just been on VHS, and it is kind of a dark movie. So I imagine it looks really nice. But I will check it out eventually, but it will probably be showing somebody a weird fever dream movie that they want to see.
All right. Well, this is the director's cut, never before on home video. So there's that.
Ooh.
Stephanie, did you watch the Blu-ray and compared to the VHS? What did you think?
Sean, I literally told you not to ask me about because I don't
You
own
did.
it.
Never mind. This segment is going down and the annals is one of the worst in Screamcast history. All right. Well, I'll talk.
I'll just
this
say
thing.
What Stephanie said in the DMs is, dude, scroll up.
All right. Well, you know what?
No big deal.
Okay. All right. My two co-hosts, have ruined this part of the show. I will tell all of you that this thing is a revelation in HD. If you have not seen it, and if you only saw the YouTube version or a VHS version or whatever, the Blu-ray version is where it's at. And I kind of wish I would have seen it that way for the first time, because it does enhance an already batshit and crazy film. So check it out. All right, let's recoup here. Let's refocus and move on into the next flick that we're going to talk about. This is a awesome little weird sci-fi.
What is it?
Drug-induced journey.
What is it? Liquid Sky.
Liquid Sky.
Liquid Sky.
Now, I feel like, I don't know how long, if we've mentioned this before, but I don't think we've actually even talked about the movie. I had never heard about the film. This is from 1982, directed by
Slava something.
I'm gonna butcher this. Slava. I was gonna say Suckerman.
Yeah,
T silent.
That's right. Yeah,
the T silent.
There you go. Wow.
Anyway, this film is great. This is one of those moments where I really love what Vinegar Syndrome does, because they take a movie that I hadn't really heard about and they elevate it into a really cool package, really cool features, and this thing was a joy to discover as I started watching it. Now, one of our kind of one of the other shows on the Screaming Pods network kind of lampooned this movie, and they kind of made fun of it for an hour. I was a bit disappointed. So if you heard that,
are you gonna
episode,
fire him?
No, I'll let it slide this time around. But if you heard that and you were gonna like and be like, oh yeah, fuck that movie, it's just a dumb little crappy little movie. No, they're wrong. This movie is great. My stupid dog is just grinding at this bone at my feet.
First off,
I'm gonna freaking.
What show was this? I want to know.
Good Times, Great Movies.
Good Times, Great Movies. Okay, wait, what? Well, then why are they talking about it for an hour if it's Good Times, Great Movies and they're talking about a bad movie for an hour?
They're kind of making fun of it.
Well, you know what?
Hey, I may need to have a talk with some of these podcasts.
Well, no, that's the beauty of opinions, that everybody has one. They're all different, and it sparks conversation. Because if everybody agreed, then we wouldn't have this show.
Exactly.
So,
what do you guys think of Liquid Sky, Brad?
Well, first off, I want to ask. This is your first time seeing it, but you said this is the first time hearing about it?
Yeah, no, I had never heard about this movie ever before.
Oh, man.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because Anne Carlisle, performance of a lifetime, playing two...
Performances, yeah.
Playing two characters. And then and I totally bought her as two separate characters. It didn't even sink in when you're first introduced the other character she's playing. It didn't even sink in right away. Then I was like, oh shit, she's playing two characters. Like it was so good that it didn't really faze me at all.
Well, no, this is one of these films that has always been, like, to me, it's always been kind of sought after. People really love it. It's a different animal that, I guess Vinegar Syndrome tackled on this one, because this is to me, when I knew that they were doing this is before they announced it. I was like, holy shit, that's going to be a fucking huge movie for you guys. And they knew the fan base they were hitting, because this thing, I remember even working the booth like at Spooky Empire, and we had like 20 of these motherfuckers, and they sold immediately. Just because there's so many, like, they already had like 1,000 like slipcovers printed, and those things sold out immediately.
Yeah, I think that was like the fastest I've ever seen the slipcover version sell out.
Yeah, and I think it was just due to the fact it was the movie, because this is something that has suffered a couple DVD releases, and even though DVD did it a little bit of justice, other than VHS, the DVD doesn't really. It's such a beautiful movie, and it's so weird. But if you just take the look of the film itself, and what they accomplished with so little money, it's just it's quite, like, it kind of takes you back, like thinking, man, like, people are making these movies for under $100 or under $1 million. Like, that's fucking nuts. It's the movie's a lot bigger than it appears to be, in a way, if that makes any sense. But it was just always one of those films that I knew. I had the DVD for quite some time. Thank you, Vinegar Syndrome, for making me $120, because someone bought it for that, idiot. So I sold my DVD for $120.
Oh my god!
I love it. And then I had my Blu-ray that came in. So a little backstory on this movie from the point of Vinegar Syndrome. I won't tell too much, because I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I might not even be, like, I guess I could say this. So anyways, as far as I know, this is the most work that has ever been put into a transfer and a film that they had. And it was completely supervised by the director, and almost to the point where he was, obviously he was heavily involved with the process. I just know it was a huge undertaking, and also dealing with the director, I guess, was a little much. I think this is one of their babies as far as Vinegar Syndrome goes, because of how much work and how much was involved around this. So I'm glad it's very successful for them. I'm glad people are willing to upgrade if they own the DVD. And plus, I don't think the DVD was that popular, so I think it's one of those things that was kind of a rarity to begin with. And I don't really see the VHS land around too much either. So it's one of those things that suffered both physical media releases as far as VHS and DVD. So I think people are really, really happy that this one is out to purchase. Plus, I mean, it's just one of those films that there's not too many films like this either. It really is bizarre. It's super weird. And it's so artsy at the same time, but it's also just kind of a little bit of a mini clusterfuck too. But it's kind of a beautiful disaster in a way. But I've always really enjoyed it. I just love looking at it, and even more so now, just because you really get to see what, you pretty much got to see in the theater, which I never got to see this in theaters, obviously. I just, always had the tape and DVD. But it really felt like I was watching it for the first time because the colors are just popping off the screen. Like, it's so smooth, so good. Just a really, really well done job. I mean, Vinegar Syndrome always does quality work. I can only think of maybe one or two releases that were like, but there was reasons behind that, as far as like the elements they had, but that's not their fault. But this is by far some of the best work that they've done, and it obviously shows that they took their time. So. Yeah.
Stephanie,
you're definitely not you're missing out if you're not purchasing this. That's for sure.
Stephanie, had you seen this before?
No, I hadn't. I actually, unlike you, I had heard of it. I would read about it on like obscure movie blogs, and I'd be like, wow, that sounds really way out there, but I never really hunted it out. And then when it said, surprise, this is one of the secret titles, I kind of freaked out and immediately ordered it. And I'm thrilled I did, because it's truly a one-of-a-kind film. And the neon aesthetic of the whole thing, like the fact that they put so much work into the restoration and the transfer, like this is the kind of movie that needs that. I almost don't think they would have gotten away with putting it on Blu-ray without that level of work, because it's so focused aesthetically. I've heard a few people don't like it, and if you go in expecting like a really A, B, C plot, it might let you down. But like you could tell a lot of art school people worked on this. And I wouldn't say it's dream logic. I would say it's drug logic.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Lots of cocaine.
Yeah. Well, the plot is all about is drug already drug infused, because you got these aliens in this tiny flying saucer that come to Earth, and I guess they're looking for heroin, and they land on top of a roof, and I guess so it's Anne Carlisle, right, playing, and it's her lover, right, played by Paula Shepherd. Is that correct?
Wait, no? Paula Shepherd? Who's
is there a drug dealer? Is there a guy? I'm horrible at doing plots.
Well, it's Jimmy and Margaret are the two.
No, yeah. The drug dealer guy, he's the abusive guy. Right. So they land on top of their apartment. I don't know. All I know is like they're looking for drugs.
Are you talking about the scientist dude?
See, we're already getting the plot all fucked up.
Well, you don't need to worry about the plot, because I think even talking about the whole alien thing, that's an aspect of it, but it's like a tiny little engine. Like, this is the kind of movie that spends most of its time on the characters like slowly tearing each other apart, or someone zoning out and slowly applying makeup, and you see the entire process. So I almost think like talking about the spaceship almost just leads people in the wrong direction with what the plot's like. This is one of those movies you just kind of have to let yourself drift into and like evaporate inside it.
It's kind of like the reverse thing with Maximum Overdrive. If you tell people that at the end of the movie it was a UFO controlling the trucks, it kind of throws everything out of perspective rather than just the trucks coming to life.
Sure.
But instead it's like there's a UFO that begins in this movie. It's like, no, that's probably not the best way to start this movie. Like, to get people to watch it. Like, I honestly, I don't know how to explain this movie to people. I always tell people that, you might want to pick kind of like futuristic cyberpunk stuff with it, but this is not going to be like, Future Kill or like Split Second. It's not going to be either of those movies, which honestly, if you did a triple feature with like Future Kill and then Liquid Sky and then Split Second, that might be pretty cool. I'm just saying. I mean, I think this goes the line of Future Kill. Why isn't Future Kill on fucking Blu-ray?
I don't know, man.
Someone needs to get on that.
You're the insider. Make it happen.
That poster alone sells units.
Oh yeah.
I mean that poster is amazing. But anyways,
well, it's Geiger, man. It's H.R. Geiger.
Yeah, you're not gonna get something like that. You are getting more of an artsy fartsy movie, but also with a kind of punk rock attitude. But it's more of a punk rock, neon infused, drug infused drama than anything. With a
kick-ass performance by Anne Carlisle and the other actress I was talking about, Paula Shepherd. She plays the girl. She has that like boom box.
Catherine.
She plays Catherine. I don't know the actresses' names. What I'm looking at does not have their actresses' names. It just has the actors' names, or it doesn't have the character names. So the girl that plays the boombox, she's doing that performance. She's standing at the model at the show, and she's like standing on that speaker with the microphone. Her whole performance.
I can't remember the names.
I don't think Brad watched this movie.
Well, how am I not watching them? You don't know any of the characters' names.
Well, I'm trying to be you and not pull up IMDb. Hold on, let me pull up IMDb.
I don't even
ain't made fun
IMDb
of every time I bring up IMDb.
Catherine's the one.
Paula Shepherd was Adrian.
Adrian, the girl that raps. She raps.
Oh, because that's the dude. That's the drug addict's girlfriend, right? Paul or whatever, right?
Adrian.
Or
yeah, Paul is the drug dealer guy. See, I think I don't know how you remember all this shit. All right, but she's the girl. All I know is she's the girl that does that rap song, and that rap song is awesome. Don't you remember? She's holding the thing, playing the music.
No, I know what rapping. You're talking about. I'm trying to think of the. I'm getting Catherine and Adrian confused on what they look like. That's my problem.
Well, this is interesting. The woman who plays the hairstylist in the movie, her last name is Hatful. Huh?
All right.
So Adrian's the one that has the boombox. Okay, got it.
Yeah, cool. I liked her a lot. That's all. All this to say, I like that character a lot, and I like the little rap that she did.
1982, some of our best movie rapping in this era.
It's not necessarily rap. It's almost like I guess poetry.
Word.
Yeah, spoken word.
You know what this would probably really go along with is actually I Come in Peace, Dark Angel. Because you know how the aliens are after the endorphins?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what this is like too, because they have that orgasm endorphin thing.
Yeah, they're after pheromones.
So
because they realize that pheromones that come out of people as they're having an orgasm is almost it's even better than heroin.
That's why you make the big bucks, Brad. That is a good double feature.
Triple Future Kill. Wow. Just because I want to throw Future Kill in something. Actually, you know what? Have a Friday, Saturday night double features, Split Second and Future Kill, and then next night Liquid Sky and I Come in Peace, and there you go.
With matching drugs.
You go in pieces. That's like one of my favorite all-time dumb last liners in fucking Dark Angel. You go in pieces.
The Liquid Sky.
Anyway,
So back to
all right, let's
Sky.
wrap up on Liquid Sky. We have a bunch more to go through today.
It did make my top 10 Blu-rays of last year list.
Yes. Yeah,
Beautiful.
This thing's
it's
worth it.
Stuffed full of content. It's an amazing movie if you keep an open mind.
Agreed.
No, I agree. Yeah, you have to have an open mind for this one.
And maybe a vape pen full of some THC. If you know what I'm saying.
Whoa,
if it's legal. If it's legal, everybody. It has to be legal. Make
What
sure
are
it's
they,
legal.
babies? Come on, you need some shrooms. Speedball it. Speedball it. Mushroom chase. You're ready.
We're diving into the deep end, and I'm not ready for that. I'm just doing the toe dip of legal vape pen THC.
I'm pitching you Club Scum's drug corner right now.
Is what I'm doing. Not ready to go to the shrooms, and those aren't legal, so I can't just go to the store and buy that. Anyway, enough about California marijuana law. Let's jump into. There's a few blaxploitation films that we'll jump into right now, starting with SWEETBACK'S Bad Ass Song.
Wow.
Did I do that right?
Wow, you don't have to say it like that.
Right?
Yes, he does. And you need to drag the S's out longer than the A's, but it was a good try.
Song. How's that? Is that better?
Okay. I'm proud of you for trying.
We have talked about SWEETBACK'S Badass Song before. Brad, you and I did a blaxploitation series a few years back.
That is very, very, very underrated.
The blaxploitation episodes?
Yeah, we have 4 episodes out there where we did blaxploitation for.
Was it 4?
Episodes,
I think it was 3. It was 2 or 3.
3?
It may have been 2. I may have been like, 3's pushing it for 2 white guys talking blaxploitation. I don't know if I have enough of that. I don't know if I have enough of that knowledge.
So there's a missing episode.
There might be
2 white guys talking about blaxploitation.
Well, we've been talking about this Blu-ray for quite a while though, because they've been working on this for quite a while, and it finally is out there. And
a long time.
Yeah, and the versions when we were talking, Brad, when we did that episode, the only way it was available was on. I mean, I found it on. I had to watch some YouTube rip of a VHS. I think. I don't even know if it was it was on DVD for a while, wasn't it, or was this the first time making its way to disc?
No, it's been on DVD. Yeah, okay. I owned it for a little while.
So maybe I watched it. I don't know.
Pretty sure it was a legit copy.
Yeah. Well, it was hard to find.
The fact that you have to discuss it that much is crazy because it's such a legendary movie, and historically, as a documentary about it, that's kind of crazy.
And it has a movie about the making of it.
When his son made honestly, talk about another great double feature is Melvin Van Peebles' SWEETBACK'S Badass Song, and then Mario Van Peebles' honor to his father with Badass. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I mean, Mario Van Peebles did such a phenomenal job making that movie. In hindsight, just taking what his father did and be able to, take that and kind of, I don't know, just kind of re-envision what his father's life was like and the hardships and heartbreak that he had, but also the, large amount of success. But this movie, I can't imagine, seeing this. And at that time, I bet that was just a fucking hard hitting on the screen, especially at opening scene. I mean, how fucking awesome.
No, when I first tried to see this before the Blu-ray, I turned it off. No, because that first scene, because it's a child getting raped.
Yeah.
And that's a hard line for me. And then when it's we'll be talking about, I'm like, okay, I'm skipping that scene. But I've been wanting to watch this movie for a long time anyway. But
yeah, I think once you get past that, once you get past the opening scene, I mean, the way it's depicted isn't it's still really, really rough, but I've seen people I mean, it's child rape but it's done. They're trying to be funny about it, but I think I think it hits a comedy aspect, but I think
It
you
did
have
not
to.
for me.
No.
Well,
I
that's
think
where you take like the time and place, like when the movie came out, what society was like back then, what was you know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
It wasn't.
Yeah, and it's like it's Mario is playing
Right.
the young boy.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where it's after knowing the history and story of the movie, it doesn't I think it's easier to watch for myself.
Sure. Well, knowing
You
the
know.
framing of things always helps, but yeah, like I can't imagine
Right.
going in the theater, even if you're pretty used to exploitation films and everything. That's like
no.
punching
That's
you
what
in the
I'm
face
saying.
to welcome you. To
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah, I think what a fucking opening scene though to a movie. I mean, that's insane.
That's ballsy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the point. I mean, in order to get, I mean, even with kind of Melvin Van Peebles' book, or one of his books. How many books is that guy? He has like a bunch of books. But anyways, just kind of his story of how to make a movie and that hard hitting. I mean, it's just, I mean, at that time, being a black person in general, and being an artist and getting your film into theaters. I mean, he really wanted to push the envelope on that, and he did. And I mean, I think the movie still would have stood on its own, but I think in order to get people to talk about it, I think a little bit more. I think that opening scene probably set it a little over the edge, which made it even probably more successful at the time to get out there. But I mean, it's heavy, that's for sure.
So other than that, Stephanie, what 'cause this was your first time watching this movie, what did you think about it? What were your thoughts on seeing this for the first time?
Well, when I came back to it, I was able to kind of think back to that scene. Because Sweetback is a very detached character. He's not like, hey, I'm a fucking love machine. Like, he seems just very detached. Like, how he's almost like a low-key, really cool Terminator. It's just like, oh, gotta do this. Like, every sexual encounter, it's like he gets these faraway eyes and is just mechanical about it. And that opening scene really puts that in context. And I still hate that scene, but in a way, I guess it did kind of have to be there to show what his entire life was like how he's been used and how he's just had to reframe his thinking into dealing with everything. And there's a lot of fun in this movie. Don't get me wrong. It's like a great running through the city wronged man kind of movie, but there is this depth of character that you don't always see with this genre. I won't get into it, but it's the same way with Brother Charles. It's fantastic, and it makes sense that it has such a strong place in history because there's so much going on. And when you just think about what they had to go through, the budget, everything, it's pretty incredible. So yeah, even though I had that rough start, it's an important film, and I'm really glad I saw it. Yeah.
Well, this one has some a lot of interviews and things like that to kind of give you some context. I would definitely recommend watching the Mario Van Peebles film. Is that one just called Badass?
Yeah, it's just called Badass. It's so good.
Definitely watch that. I wish that was out on Blu-ray, because that's the only way that I've ever really seen this movie is I've watched Badass first, and then I watched Sweetback's Badass Song, and then so it was always within that context. So I always knew the behind the scenes stuff kind of going into it. I was never just sat and watched this film without that context. But there's some really good interviews. You got a career interview with Melvin Van Peebles. Then you have another interview with Neva Rochelle, that actress. And then there's even a Q&A from a 2013 Black Panther Film Festival. And then another interview with Van Peebles called The Real Deal. So there's some good stuff on this, but I definitely would recommend you check out the film Badass as well if you haven't seen this too. But I think a lot of people have seen this film, but I think finally seeing it and having it presented this way, I think it's going to be going to do it even. I mean, it's even to be out there even more. I'm glad that it's easily accessible now, because this is such an important film.
It's an important film, and it kick-started a genre, and it kick-started a revolution, and especially with because I mean you had Sweetback in '71, but like right before that in with novels you had Robert Beck, it was Iceberg Slim, who was writing his memoirs in his novels, like Pimp and Trick Baby and stuff like that. And I mean, it was just at the end of the '60s and beginning of the '70s, it was such a an important time. And if you guys are listening and you haven't read any Iceberg Slim books, I would highly suggest reading Pimp and Trick Baby. But just so important and so influential that is still, sparking, because when you're a little black kid or something growing up, I mean, what do you want to hear about? What do you want to see? I mean, you just want to see a bunch of, white people making movies where you're the drug dealer all the time. Or do you want to see a movie where you are the drug dealer kicking the police's ass? But I'm just saying it made something where black people were heroes. And it's cool because I mean then eventually you had people white directors stand up and make those films too, like like
Matt Simber.
Yeah, Matt Simber. I mean, Jack Hill, Larry Cohen. They were all making these important blaxploitation flicks, but from a white director that said, "Hey, this is basically making a statement." In Hollywood as well. I mean, they were taking a chance, and they cared. And I think, but I mean, it was Melvin Van Peebles that started this, that was able to put that out there, and it's such an important piece of film history, and you just created a wave, man, a huge wave, and it's just it all goes back to that, I mean, because a lot of films, horror films, slasher films, there's always that debate, like what came first. Which, I mean, ultimately, it was definitely Sweetback's Badass Song. That was, what the content was in the film. I consider the first blaxploitation film. I know there's some arguments on that. But, I mean, I think that's just nitpicking. But as far as, like, a true, bleeding blaxploitation movie, that Sweetback is definitely the first.
Well, let's jump into these other blaxploitation films that we have here from Vinegar Syndrome. Are all of these? Well, no. So Sweetback's Badass Song, that was their partnership with, what was the studio, Brad?
Xenon.
Xenon.
I don't know if that's a Xenon. Is it? I don't
yeah,
know.
it is.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is? Okay.
That was. But Welcome Home, Brother Charles, and then it has another bonus movie on there called MMA. Those were with Crown International. So let's talk a little bit about Welcome Home, Brother Charles.
Oh boy.
This was directed by Jama Fanaka, who we have talked about previously with the Penitentiary films in our last Vinegar Syndrome extravaganza, which, Brad, you were not here for. So it was,
I was not.
Rob Hunter and I were talking Penitentiary. So I was a fan.
That was a little bit of shaming, I felt.
A little bit. I was a fan of the Penitentiary films, so I was excited to watch another Jama Fanaka film. This one feels a little even more at home with Vinegar Syndrome, just because there's a twist in the film regarding, I believe, the weapon of choice.
I did not see that
for our lead character.
No, just if you say it, people will watch it.
He kills with his dick.
Yes, he does. He strangles him. Yeah.
And there's no suggestions or cutaways. You see that dick do its work. And it is arresting.
Oh man, that escalated this film into upper tier Vinegar Syndrome releases for me, because that's a fantastic surprise. But this film's like, but the thing is, like, the film, I think I was having a lot of fun with the film anyway. Trying to figure out, because it starts out with it opens with him. He's on a ledge, right? He's gonna jump, and you have all this stuff going on, and you need to find out how this guy got there, and that's basically what happens. You find out why he got there.
I think it's great. I mean, it was funny because when they first announced this, I didn't know what it was. And I was like, "Welcome home, Brother Charles." And then I looked it up, and then I saw it was, the director, and I was like, "Oh, and I was like, I have this on fucking tape," but it's called Soul Vengeance, and I always like that title a lot better. So I was like, man, I don't like the title "Welcome Home, Brother Charles." But anyways, yeah, Soul Vengeance. I remember watching Soul Vengeance when I was a little kid.
What? You with the films that you've seen as a kid, man. And
I at that time, I mean, I say I was little. I was probably like 14. So I was a teenager. I shouldn't say little. Okay. I say little because
you're allowed to see a man strangling people with a dick at that age.
So yeah, it was I didn't know it was like blaxploitation. I really don't know what I was watching. It was one of those times where, I was just buying VHS tapes like at thrift stores and wherever I could buy them. And I came across that one and I put it in, and I just didn't know what to say. I was like, because I saw some weird shit, but this is like, this is before I really, really got into like weird shit. And I didn't know if the movie was like real. I just remember sitting like thinking, what is going on? What is happening? And it wasn't until years later I realized it was the penitentiary guy. When I was, because I remember when Xenon put out the special editions of Penitentiary on DVD. And I picked those up, and that's eventually when I connected it to. But it was so different, especially with his background, like in film school, and making something so good like Penitentiary, and even Penitentiary 2, Penitentiary 3, not so much. But the first two Penitentiary movies is such a substantial and staple when it comes to blaxploitation. And Welcome Home, Brother Charles, Soul Vengeance is that as well. But it's a different tier. Like, it was almost, in a way, it was a comedic blaxploitation film rather than kind of, because, I mean, there's funny parts in Penitentiary, but it's very serious, I feel. Like, I find kind of the situations funny and some of the characters just based off how they're acting. But as far as, like, just being ridiculous, no pun intended, I think that, Welcome Home, Brother Charles is like a different movie, but it's still enjoyable. Like, I really, really like it. It's just different.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's just me.
Stephanie, your thoughts on Welcome Home, Brother Charles, other than the obvious?
Before that crazy twist, it really well done, but pretty standard. Like a man put in jail for bullshit reasons, and then he gets out and he both tries to rebuild his life while seeking revenge, and it's incredibly well acted. I love how character focused it was. Even though it's basically a bunch of stupid white people that you're ready to see their comeuppance. They're not caricatures. No one's a caricature. You see a lot of people at their home life, and I thought that really strengthened the film. And even though that's such a great scene and such a great twist to the movie, that's not all it is. It's I thought it was I love the relationships. It's crafted really well. I had a great time with Welcome Home, Brother Charles.
Awesome. This was a fun one. Fun for me to discover new blaxploitation, of course, and with all the batshit insanity that goes into it. I mean, he also does he also kind of have like a way to kind of entrance women or something like that as well? Is there like a supernatural aspect, or is that just reading into it?
I was trying to figure out if it was just playing on like a white man's fear of like if a black man tries to seduce my wife, like she won't have it, Right.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's like a superpower. I just think I think it's I agree with Stephanie what she said, but there's a lot of jokey, just a lot of jokey things that are looked at of how white people view black people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's
version of that.
Yeah, that's like the joke with, the strangling of, with the penis and, black women stealing the white women away. I think it's all a joke inside of that. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I feel like it's so different for him. Like, it's not like you're cracking up watching the movie in that sense. I think there's a statement. It's more or less, I don't know. It's jokey, but I think there's a statement behind it. I don't know what you would call a type of movie like that.
Okay.
Kind of like self-aware in a way. I don't know.
So this Blu-ray has another movie as kind of a special feature, and I had sent these movies off to Stephanie, and I didn't realize that there's I think on two of these actually that we'll find out. I didn't realize that there was extra movies on these sets. So MMA, I could do a really bad, horrible, stupid dad joke regarding, people fighting in an octagon. But I'm not going to. I'm going to avoid that easy joke right now. But Emma.
Oh my God, I just got it. You're an idiot.
It's a 1974, I believe 1974 film from Fanaka. And I have no idea what it's about. But Stephanie,
did you? This is his debut.
It's 76.
Oh, it's his debut. Okay, 76.
Was this his debut?
I think it was the year after Brother Charles.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So,
they need a penitentiary.
What is Emma May about? And how was it?
Well,
it's good if I remember. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Emma May, she is a cousin who comes to stay with her family in California. She's like a farm girl, and they're kind of like, oh, we'll show you all the cool California stuff.
They're from Mississippi, right? It's like a Mississippi family. Yeah.
And so they take her to a party, but they discover she's cool and she can stand up for herself. She's not like a country bumpkin. And she falls for a guy who ends up in prison. And she basically works her ass off, and she creates a car wash to try to raise money to support he develops a gambling addiction in prison, and she's just working her ass off to help him out and get him out there. And it's a very standard plot, especially coming after Welcome Home, Brother Charles. And the alternate title is Black Sister's Revenge.
Yeah, Black Sister. Yeah.
Really misleading.
Right, because there is no revenge.
I mean, a dude gets
because she does
a lot, which is
well, that's the fight
that's
scene.
not
But
the rest of the plot.
She plots a bank robbery, right?
Yeah, like the most adorable bank robbery I've ever seen.
Yeah. And then when it all goes down, that's when she beats the fucking shit out of her boyfriend. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it, but it's a very low-key movie. There aren't any twists to it or anything. It's not bloody or anything.
I mean, we literally just told the entire movie, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
It's
there's not much going on.
Jerry Hayes, who played MMA, she's so wonderful. She's really natural. I think it was the only acting role she ever did, which is too bad, because she really... I don't know how old she was, but she seemed so young, and she carried the entire movie. So yeah, if they released this by itself, it probably wouldn't be the biggest seller, but
right, it's a good idea to put on
as an extra.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check it out now. If I ever get my movies back from you, Stephanie.
Yeah, we'll
see what happens.
So pushy.
Awesome. So it's built as a special feature, and I mean, it's like, do you like that they do this? They kind of put these things in there. They've done this before with other films, and because they don't treat it as like double feature, they treat it as like there's a little extra. No, it's a full movie.
Yeah, no, they really don't publicize what they're doing. I mean, I heard about the special feature on Blue Vengeance like yesterday, but I didn't get to actually watch it.
It's not even on the cover. At least Emma May is on the cover of this one.
Yeah. So I mean, no, they've done this a few times where there's like a secret movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, even in Corruption has Last House on Dead End Street on it, which is not their like official release of it, but it's just kind of an extra feature. But it's just really bizarre that they don't do that. But I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, I think putting on there like bonus movie is definitely something to get. But at the same time, it's like, if you do that, do people think like, oh, this must suck?
Well,
you know,
yeah.
I wonder how that is, because with me, I'm like, oh shit, 2 movies.
Right.
You know, and it's like, you know, MMA, I knew about the film. But I mean, immediately I was like, oh, okay, that's the reason why it's a special feature. Because, you know, I mean, it really is hard to be by itself, because it is such a standard, non-eventful movie. It does have some great things about it, but all in all, like, it's like, you know, you're not going to be filling seats with a repertory screening of this. You know, it's just very standard. It's nothing really special. It's just one of his movies, you know, and obviously they acquired the library. Oh man, I hope they release was it Street Wars that he did in the 90s? That shit's good. Oh my God,
I'm sold on the name. All right, we need to keep things moving along. We are going to jump into an interview that Stephanie and I did earlier in the week. We got a hold of Norman J. Warren, the director of Terror
and Prey.
And Prey. Yeah. So I'm going to play that. We're going to jump into that right now, and we'll come back and we'll talk about Terror and a handful of other flicks. So stick around. Well, we are thrilled to have on the Screamcast the director of the film Terror with us right now, Mr. Norman J. Warren. Welcome to the Screamcast.
Welcome. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I'm pleased to be with you.
What's funny is this was my first time seeing Terror, and the movie Prey was my first time seeing that movie as well because of these Vinegar Syndrome releases. And it's been a fun ride kind of discovering your films, you know, after all these years. Well,
that's why I'm really pleased about the releases, actually, because, you know, I think they are going to reach now a whole new range of people that have never had the opportunity to see them before. So that's really is a big plus as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask you what you thought of them. I mean, that's another thing. But at least you got to see them, which is really good.
Well, I tell you what, Terror especially was right up my alley, and that's kind of where I wanted to start, because this was released about the year after Suspiria came out, and there was some direct, you've said in interviews before that this was, you know, inspired pretty directly by Suspiria. But for me, coming through, seeing a ton of giallo and especially supernatural giallo type films like Suspiria over the years, this was like right up there with some of the ones that I kind of loved the most, and I just really loved. I loved the film. So it was just interesting going back and reading reviews from that time on how they're connecting it to Suspiria and in like a negative way. But I absolutely adored it.
Yeah, you're right. There was lots of people that said in a negative way, but I'd always explained right from the start that Suspiria was an enormous influence.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was the producer and myself where we were in the unique position of actually having enough money again to make another film, but not 100% sure what kind of film to make. I mean, I knew it was going to be horror again, but there was a lot of horror films around at the time, an enormous amount coming out every month, and because they were coming out so fast, they were tending to look alike. So we didn't really want to just go down the same line as everybody else. And Les, the producer, and myself, quite independently, went to the movies to see, and I went to see the film Suspiria, which I knew nothing about. And it just blew my mind away. I mean, it was just so different to anything else that was going around. I mean, it was wild lighting, wild sound, and the story really didn't make any real sense, but it was just so entertaining and visually interesting that infused us to say, right, we go that sort of route. We won't worry too much about strong narrative. We just make the film hopefully as entertaining as possible. And so I would say, it's always said that Suspiria was an enormous influence, and I never wanted to copy it. I wasn't trying to make another Suspiria, but I would be the first to say that it was made in the Suspiria style, definitely. I mean, the music, the sound effects, and the lighting is all taken from Suspiria in inspiration, not actual copy, if you see what I mean.
Well, yeah, and that's what I mean is that you can see the jumping off point, but what I really loved and appreciated was it wasn't trying to be a carbon copy. But Stephanie, what did you think of Terror? Stephanie and I haven't talked about what we both thought of the film yet.
Right.
Stephanie, what did you think?
Oh, I loved it as well. And like you said, you can absolutely see the influences, but it does not feel like a carbon copy. I think the setting plays a big part in that. I've been watching your films, and I love the way you use the location. They're almost like a character themselves, and it gives them such a distinct personality. And that was so strong in Terror. And I was also wondering, with Argento, his visuals are always talked about, rightfully so, but he utilizes music very heavily. And I've noticed, even starting with your first short film, Fragment, which is all music,
yes.
Just that and the actors' faces convey everything. Did that appeal to you too, especially with the budgets you were working with?
Oh, indeed. And I think music is really such an important element of film. It really is. So yes, it is a very important factor to me. And it's nice of you to mention the little short film Fragment. I will be honest with you, how they ended up with, it is all music and effects, is because I couldn't afford a sound recordist at the time. I made the film with so little money, I could only afford to get the camera crew, but I couldn't have a sound crew. So I had to shoot it without dialogue, and so I knew I was going to use special effects. Makeup, sound effects. I get it right in a moment. Sound effects, and then I met this man, John Scott, who offered to do the music, and that was the sort of the crowning glory, and it made it work so well. So, but yes, music to me is a very important element of film, and you need to get the right style. Once again, jumping to Terror. Terror, particularly in the title sequence and things like that. A lot of the music in Terror is reasonably sort of straightforward and done electronically, but some of it, like going back to the title music, was actually done in a way that rather than the music being written in one piece, it was done in sections and then put into loops. And there's also the voices on it, which is actually the associate producer, Moira Young, and myself, just sort of wailing and things into the microphone and then changing the speed and putting echoes on. And then in the mixing theatre, when we put it together, we would run the loops and just sort of let them run and come up randomly. So what you get when you see those scenes like that with the voices could never actually be repeated because they just came up as the loops came up. So but it was quite a fun way of doing it. And I think actually gave it, once again, another element that sort of set it aside from, say, another film that would have been running that week at the theatre. So, to answer your question, music is a very important element to me. And also, you very quickly, jumping, you mentioned about the location. I would say another thing too. I have done films in studios, but I actually enjoy doing locations because when you find the right location, I want to say visually looks right. I like the way that a location actually dictates to you how you're going to shoot a scene. Whereas if you're in the studio, you can have something built to your requirements. So, you could say you want the door on the left and the stairs on the right. But when you get to a real location, you find the door is on the other side and there is no staircase in that room. And, so therefore you have to think of the scene in a wholly different way. And very often I think you'll come up with more original ideas because the location actually dictates how you can do it. So I'm a big fan of working on location, even so it does give you problems at times. Yeah.
I noticed that specifically in Prey as well, because it was so open and that it did become a character because you have these characters kind of isolated in this area, but it's not just like isolated in some big home or some castle or something like that. It was, and even the nature of the film of Prey itself, it being in the large open fields and the large open, grounds that took place in really did help you kind of feel that isolation. And yeah, in Terror, like I absolutely like the house, the main house that kind of sets up the film, sets up the events as they go along. Really did help, especially with all the glass and everything. So much glass inside the rooms as well.
Yes. Yeah, no, that is a beautiful location actually. That's and I will tell you now, if you ever get to see Satan's Slave, which is another one of my films that we actually shot 2 years before Terror, we actually used the same location. In fact, the location was discovered on that film, and it was just so good. Really had to use it again. But you wouldn't. The nice thing about it is, if you see the other film, all right, you might recognize some of it, but it does feel like a completely different house again. Which is coming back to my point about working on locations, how you can actually get you to do it in a different way, which is nice. And so I'm coming. Prey, as you just mentioned. See, that was an interesting situation because the producer had done a deal with the studio, Shepperton Studios, and to be able to film there over a period of 10 days. So, and we used what's called the old house as an old house at the studio on the back lot, and they said we could use that. So it was interesting that this time we actually went to the studio, but we were shooting as if we were on location because the house actually existed, and so that was an interesting situation. Also, it was also empty. So and they said to our production designer, you can have complete access to the props department, but you can't ask for anything special. You just have to use what is available. So if you see Prey again, just keep this in mind, how all the rooms sort of have a different feel about them. I mean, the dining area is incredibly grand, it's a lounge type area, but then you have a very small kitchen and quite a tiny bedroom. It's quite an odd mix of sort of furnishings and sort of sizes, but it seems to work somehow. Even though you would think you're not actually in the same house. The grounds, of course, were the back lot at the studio, so there was a lot of that, including that wonderful dirty lake, the river that they have to go into at one point, and that was really quite unpleasant for them.
I can imagine. I felt the grime of that lake for sure.
Oh yeah, well, the fact it's in slow motion, you really get to see it going into their mouth and everything, and because I actually think that sequence is too long. I mean, it works well, but the producer, Terry Marcel, fell in love with it when he saw the first cut, and he would never allow us to change it. So, it is the very first cut.
That's awesome.
But I mean, most people enjoy it, but I'll be the first to say it goes on a little bit too long. But and see, that had good use of music on that, because that's got some good music, and also threw in some voices as well, which so it adds to it.
It's just fantastic. These are both available on these just amazing, transfers and packages from Vinegar Syndrome. I wanted to go back to terror, and I love it when films open up with kind of not necessarily a movie within a movie, but even like a different time period. Because I love I love that you brought in the beginning of Terror, and we find out it's a film within a film, but that time period of the witch hunts and things like that. And as soon as it started, I kind of just eased back into my couch, and I was like, oh, here we go. This is right at my alley.
I know what to expect.
Very hammer-ish in a sense. And then you find out, then you get into the plot of the film after that segment. But sometimes I feel like those segments leave me wanting because the rest of the film doesn't, catch me like that opening did. And I love that it brought me through. Like there was never, I feel like I saw an interview where you said you guys just sat down and thought of everything you would like to see in a film, in this film, and you kind of tracked all that as you were writing the script, and all right, and now how are we going to piece these together? And I think it just works wonderfully with a film like this, and especially was that a function of being an independent feature and kind of having that freedom to kind of, you knew what you were going to be able to get in there, or how did you guys approach the script?
Yeah, I mean, that was it, because, you just hit it on there. Being completely independent, which we were, we were self-financing, so we didn't have to ask anybody else. And the other thing was the desire to make something different at that time, and not being tied by a story that, not having to stick to a story too closely. So because the idea of putting everything we liked in it is absolutely true. Yes, Les, the producer, and his wife, we sat down and just made a list, actually, of things that we liked in horror films. And then we gave them to David McGilvray, the writer, and he put it into a rough sort of story that you have in Terror. But it really was an excuse just to put all our favourite bits in. And that opening sequence, that, to be honest, that was our homage to Hammer, as you just mentioned. Because we'd really sort of taken over from Hammer, because Hammer was sort of finished by then. And but of course they had made some classic films in the past that we were all influenced by when we were younger. So we wanted to sort of salute Hammer there. And so that it runs roughly 10 minutes or so, that bit you're talking about. We tried to put in as many Hammer ideas as we could into that, and just pack them in. But it was good fun to do. It really was. And the other thing was, the other thing I'll tell you, which was done at the time, we purposely didn't allow any front of house stills of that section to go outside the theatres, and it wasn't put in any sort of synopsis of the story to do with the theatres. So audiences went in, the young audiences were going in to see the movie thinking it was a modern day film, and of course the film would start with the period, and it went on for a little while, and it was quite, if you were in the theatre, that quite a few people were sort of talking to each other and wondering whether they've actually got the right movie,
Wrestling a little.
It got a very good reaction when suddenly you realise it was a film within a film.
Nice, I love it.
It was just a great subversion of what we were expecting, and it set a great tone of fun right at the beginning when you realize what's happening and you see the crew. It really put me in like a great mindset for the rest of the film.
That's good. I'm pleased you enjoyed all that. I mean, both of you. Yeah, that's really good.
Did you get a chance to view the transfer? Were you involved in any of that?
Yeah, I have. I've only just seen Terror. Yes, I have. I have indeed. Yeah, and I'd seen Prey before that. And I think Prey looks great. I'm really pleased about Prey. They're excellent. It really is. And with Terror, I'm happy. But I'm going to say I'm 99% rather than 100%, only because it suffers. Well, because it suffers, which sometimes Blu-ray can, and that is, it's a little, for me, it's a little bit too bright.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
Which results in a couple of scenes in it where you're seeing too much. It's too light.
Right. I think I know what you're talking about. They're involving a car through the trees.
Oh, that one too, yes. There's two bits there where you actually just catch a glimpse of the driver, which you shouldn't do. That's only because the scene is it should have been slightly darker than that. If you could see an original version of it, you'll find, it is darker. And talking about this darkness is the important thing. It's when the girl, Susie, the one who has the car breakdown, this is the big red herring scene where, she goes into the little cottage it's a classic sort of horror situation where there's a thunderstorm and she finds a cottage where the door is always open but nobody's in there, and she makes the phone calls. Remember, well, that sequence once again when she goes into the house is much too bright. As a result, when she's sort of running around and doing things with the torch, the flashlight that she has, you don't actually wouldn't really need it because it's already bright enough to see. So that's what I meant. That it
Gotcha.
needed just coming down a bit.
Yeah.
It's mainly. Otherwise, I was happy with it, but I suppose there's a few sequences that should have been darker.
Very nice.
And so I was a bit unhappy that they hadn't. I mean, I did point it out to them in a rough that they sent me, but somehow it didn't get through to the guys actually doing the job for some reason. But otherwise, I mean, it's nice to see it all nice and clean.
Yeah.
And no marks and things on it anymore.
We're huge fans of this. I really think this is underseen, that anyone should check this out, and you very, very much will be pleasantly surprised with Terror. And because I had no idea what I was getting into, and I didn't look at anything up, didn't even look at a poster other than what's on the Blu-ray cover, didn't look up any trailers, and I really did have a blast with it. So
it's a tremendously fun film, and I really appreciate that you do take the time to do interviews for all these releases. I think it's wonderful to have the perspective of the filmmakers. And people like us, we actually do pay attention to them, and it does mean a lot to us. So that's appreciated.
Very kind of you. It's very kind of you. It's very kind of both of you to ask me, and I'm more than happy to do it. I really am, because you please me by the fact that you're talking, that you've discovered the films now, and what you were just saying about not looking into them first. I quite like the idea of you watching the film, not knowing anything about it. I think that's a good way to do it, and I'm hoping now that lots of people in America like yourself will be able to see the film for the first time. And it's nice for me because it does mean that they're still continuing to reach another audience. I'll now let you go, but I will say that I'm really just very proud of the films and the others, which hopefully we'll get to see one day. The fact that they are still out there and still being viewed in various parts of the world, which is, when you think how old they are, it's really quite a nice thing. And I think it says a lot for the horror genre as well.
Yeah.
How the long life that it has, which is, I think, is a good plus for all of us.
Well, these ones in particular with Prey and Terror, I feel like they've aged well. Like a lot of times you can you'll watch a movie from the 70s or even early 80s and it'll kind of be dated. But these ones, I feel like even with Prey, like with some of the topics that come up in the film, and in the script and everything and things that come up, like I feel like they aged well and even resonate maybe even more now. I don't know. Like I don't know. Like. Yeah. And then with Terror, with all the other giallos that I've seen and these types of films that I've seen, this really was a step above a lot of them that I've seen, and I really did enjoy it. So it's fun seeing films like this that do age like fine wines or fine.
Yeah, which is nice of you to say. I can't think really why it is so, but I think, for instance, with both films, but particularly say Terror. Obviously, people are wearing clothes of the 70s, but we didn't actually, never made a conscious thing of saying we're in the 70s when we made the film. I mean, I think because we never put any emphasis on anything to do that would tie into that period, is maybe, because I do know what you mean. I've seen other films from the 70s myself, and they do look very dated. They look so much of that time. But for some unknown reason, we managed to avoid that. But I can only think it's because we didn't actually think about it.
Yeah.
We just happened to be in the 70s making a film.
Right. It doesn't feel like you were beholden to any trends. And I think that
exactly.
helps a lot.
No jazz flute.
That's right. We didn't say we must show this or have one of these because it's trendy at the moment. In fact, we never thought that way. It's as I said very quickly, I'll end on that because I do have a lot of people, young filmmakers, say to me, they would like to make a 70s type of film. And I have to say to them, I can't give them an answer because my answer would be, you have to go back and make it in the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know how to make a film for any other period unless you're actually in it.
One last thing I will bring up, and then we'll wrap up here. But if anything, watch Terror for the strip club scene, because that's probably one of the best strip teases I've seen in a long time in a film.
Well, we were so lucky. Yeah, I will tell you on that one. We wanted to find a stripper, and the associate producer, Moira, and myself, and we went out to various places where they had strip acts, and we got very disheartened because they were all so corny, the same old routine over and over again. And of course, the girls sort of did it every hour on the hour, so they would look very bored, and they were just so dull that we were quite disheartened. We thought, oh, we're never going to find one. So we rang an agency that had, dealt with them, and they sent this girl, Tanya, her name was, and as soon as she walked in to see us, without seeing her routine, we said, yeah, definitely, because she had such an attitude, and the way she looked, she just looked so different. And when we came to film that sequence, I can tell you, I said to her, now, can we see your routine? And she did it, and we had some extras there, and the other artists and things, and the crew. And at the end, everybody didn't know what to say because it was so obscene. Her act was so obscene. And I didn't know what to say to her. I just said, well, that's very good, but it was too long. Can you make it shorter? So she cut it down, and in the editing, we just removed all the stuff we knew we'd never get past anybody. Because I tell you, it really was way over the top. But she had but it's still what you see in the film is still very effective.
Yeah.
So I think if you watch it again, remembering what I was saying, how obscene it got, if you look at the way she's doing things, I think you can use your imagination for the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, it's a very kind of anarchist kind of punk rock, routine.
I feel like Brian De Palma probably appreciates that scene.
Yes. Yes. I think so, yeah. And I thought the scene did work well, and with her and the club itself, it was a really seedy nightclub. And I can tell you, when we went in the morning, we worked in the morning. It looked very rough, you wouldn't see that if you were there in the evening because it'd be too dark. But when all the lights are on when you arrive, I can tell you, then you realise it's not a place you'd really want to spend time.
I've been to a place like that in Detroit, Michigan, one time, and we went in during the day, and I can tell you, try to never walk into a place like that during the daytime. the lights help.
That's right. And also, I just one other thing, remembering the glasses, that the drinks were in. They were all ready for the evening, but they didn't really look whether they'd been washed properly. They really didn't. They had so many marks on them. Still old lipstick stains and things like that. It was quite alarming.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Mr. Norman J. Warren, thank you so much for taking the time and speaking with us today. Really enjoy talking with you, and we really enjoy the movies we've seen so far. So I definitely have a deep dive to go into to check out some more of your films. I'm hoping some more get the treatment that Vinegar Syndrome has given these especially. So just thank you so much.
I believe they are. They're due for it, I believe. So let's hope that they continue to do so. And well, thank you once again. It's been a pleasure for me too. So thank you both.
Thank you. It's an honor.
So let's talk about Terror, everybody.
Yeah, you can wake me up when you're done with that.
Oh, come on.
Same thing
Brad.
as you can wake me up after Prey, too.
Oh, my God. Okay. So we know
Two movies I
that
can't endorse.
that Mr. Norman Warren is listening to this right now, and we do not endorse Brad's statements right now.
We do not endorse
at all.
Brad.
Anyway, let's talk about Terror. We just spent.
Terror's fine.
You guys just spent a lot of time listening to us talk about Terror, about the plot and everything like that. We're not going to jump into all that because everyone just listened to all that. And unless Brad has anything else he would like to say about Terror, I'm a fan of this, and I had a lot of fun with Terror, and it was one of those that I was excited to discover. And I liked that he was inspired by Suspiria, and I saw that in spades on this movie, and that made it a lot of fun. So if you're a fan of these types of movies, I would highly recommend Terror. Brad, do you have any thoughts on Terror? Is it a giallo?
No, not.
There was a
at
conversation
all.
today about Suspiria being a
The
giallo.
giallo
It's not. It's
A giallo. Is it a giallo?
Yeah, I think there's that giallo. Yeah, giallo
Martha, you
mold.
watch enough-
Yeah, put make sure you put some fruit in that giallo mold.
Yeah, Margaret, you watch another giallo film. I heard
Make sure you put that in the fridge so it doesn't get all melty.
So this is my second time watching Terror. Yeah, I do like it better than Prey. I really don't like Prey. I like aspects of Prey, but both films I gave a second chance. I watched Prey and Terror, years and years ago, and I was like, when they announced them, I was like, I wish we had the Prey rather than Prey, but oh well. So I rewatched Prey. I still didn't like it. Terror, it kind of grew on me a little bit more, but it's still, I feel it's just very bland. I think it is a unique, I think it is a unique film in a way, as far as like how it's presented, but I can't get into it.
All right. Okay. Anyway, jeez, what a buzzkill.
Mate, sorry.
Buzzkill Brad is.
You can like the movie. You can like the movie.
All right. Moving along. Unless Stephanie, you and I talked quite a bit about Terror in the interview. I don't know unless you have anything else you'd like to.
You still said I like Terror. You did your whole thing. Yes, if you enjoy British slashers with a little personality to them, you'll dig Terror. And yeah, I'm done. I like it.
It's a little batshit crazy thing. It's
It's Vinegar Syndrome. It's disappointing when it's not batshit.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a film about that makes fishing look scary. I'm talking about 1986's Bloodhook. Brad, you're scratching the microphone with your frickin'
Dude, my
beard. Shave your beard right now.
So my beard is even close to the microphone, bro.
I don't know what's going on. All right. Bloodhook, baby. Bloodhook probably has one of the best covers I've seen in Vinegar Syndrome release history. I'm not talking about, the slipcover is pretty damn cool too. Let me try. The slipcover is pretty good, but I'm talking about the regular one. What happened? What happened to my screen? I can't even click back. I'm talking about the one with the woman getting hooked out of the water. Pretty damn cool cover. I'm a fan. Hold on, I gotta find my place again. But this thing is a 2-hour slasher about a killer fisherman. With some great performances in it. I had a lot of fun. Here's what I think about Bloodhook. And hang with me here. I know that I was met with some opposition online.
You don't like Musky Madness?
Musky Madness is fine. Musky Madness is fine.
Problem with Musky Madness?
I feel like there is a good 90-minute slasher in this 2-hour slasher that I enjoyed for the most part. But I feel like there's about 30 minutes of it that kind of dragged. And I feel like a re-edit could basically make this pop and make this fuck a little more. What do you guys think?
Well, you probably need to watch, I think what Troma released on DVD back in the day. Because I think that movie is shorter.
But is
it a remix edition about a movie about fishing?
So this doesn't strike me as a Troma film. As far as like what I'm used to seeing on Troma films, this looks like one of the ones that they had acquired.
Did they just release it?
I'm assuming this is one that they acquired and released.
Yeah, full Troma.
No, this is a full Troma
Is
movie.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a good one. It's directed by Jim Mallon.
By those standards, this is fabulous.
It's the best movie I've ever seen.
That kind of changes this for me. It's pretty amazing.
Oh my god!
I had, for the most part, a lot of fun with it. I did like
a movie I liked.
I did like a lot of the characters, and especially the guy that puts the hook thing in his ear. That guy was funny. But what are you guys' thoughts on Bloodhook?
Well, okay, about the length. Here's a fun fact about me. I like fishing.
Okay.
I've never fished from muskie. I don't really think that's a West Coast fish. But I could appreciate it. And the whole thing about fishing is it's about taking your time.
Mm-hmm.
It's about relaxing and just letting nature do its thing around you. Okay?
Okay.
And Bloodhook is nature. And the running time is its thing that it's doing around you. So once you
don't think that was the thing that was in.
No, I'm pretty sure it was. And so if you take that fishing ethos into your heart, I think you can maybe find a new appreciation about its pacing. But beyond that, I was really excited to see it because, like you two, I'm a huge Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan. And even though the director, Jim Malone, is a behind-the-scenes guy directing the movie, I was like, okay, there's going to be a sense of humor. What?
Malin.
Oh, Malin. I'm a huge fan. I can't pronounce his name.
Welcome to the club. I do this way more than you, Stephanie. So you're fine.
I just let you do it enough that I think you're people.
Yeah.
And it does have a great sense of humor, but I am a sucker for slashers, and I think it definitely delivers on that level. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's a really fun slasher. I loved it. Yeah,
awesome.
That's right.
No, it's fun. You get exactly what you think this movie is going to be based off the cover, and even the VHS cover is even better because it has that kind of 80 cartoony look to it. You know what I mean? How they did those covers. So the quote on the VHS says, "It's America's funniest and most frightening terror hit." Did you guys think it was funny?
Yes.
Yeah, in like a really sweet, folksy kind of way. Yeah.
I think it's funny in a Troma sense. When Troma was actually had some funny comedy at times. Like this is one of those that actually got a little bit of laughs from me, just because of how, and honestly, like how ridiculous it is.
See, the VHS was 85 minutes, so they added a lot back into this film. I'm interested in seeing kind of the differences. Do they include the VHS
That's what I'm
cut
saying. I don't think so, but that's what I'm saying. I think whatever was released by Troma on DVD or VHS, it's substantially shorter.
Interesting.
Yeah, you need to see that.
I'm so curious. I love seeing the differences between extended cuts and then theatrical cuts. A lot was taken out. I wonder if it was that good character building stuff, or if it was just a lot of meandering.
No, it was a lot. It was a lot of the dreamy sequences. I think a couple of the deaths were cut because I saw the VHS. I saw the movie a couple times when I was younger, and I just recently got rid of my tape. And
how much did you get?
like $20, $25, I think.
Yeah, it's not bad. At least pays for the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I sold Star Time for $40, which is good. I just sold Extra for $50.
What?
Yeah, yeah. That's
guys, if you're gonna buy from Brad, see if there's any Blu-ray announcements.
I know, right?
You'd think. Don't tell them that.
You'd think these collectors would check.
Don't tell them. No,
awesome.
I sold Ghostbusters the other day for $3 because people are dumb. They like this analog shit of movies that are on Blu-ray. I just don't get it. I have them because it's movies that aren't released on DVD or Blu-ray. And then I get rid of them. I don't want to watch that afterwards, I still love tapes, but I don't want to watch. I want to watch something, as close as that you couldn't get to the theater, Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I remember it did when I first watched Bloodhook on the Blu-ray. I was like, man, this feels different. And then I looked at the back of the tape and I was like, that's why. This movie seems a lot longer than it used to be. But it's still fun. I mean, I do agree that it runs a little bit longer than before. I forget actually how long it. Like, I don't know how many more minutes are in. I think the director's. I don't know if that's the director's cut, but I do know that it existed before that, and it was known that the movie had that cut. But I don't know if it was ever released.
Yeah, all it says is never released domestically in its original version. Doesn't say director's cut or anything.
Okay. I mean, the director's cut might be the 85-minute version. I don't know. So, but anyways, yeah, I've always enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of goofy and fun. One of the few trauma films I enjoy that they actually produced and had their hands in. I guess I hate that shit. I always get fucking hit on that. I say something about a movie and they're like, that's a trauma movie, you like it. And it's like, no. Trauma had nothing to do with this shit. Like,
wait, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
With Trauma, have you ever seen their like behind the scenes documentaries? Like Farts of Darkness or any of those?
I've seen something. It definitely wasn't Farts of Darkness because I would have remembered that.
All the love you can. I actually love their behind the scenes documentaries. I think it's like some of the best movies they've ever made.
Yeah, my stuff with like Vinegar Syndrome is more like, it's not about the movies like per se. Here's the thing is that I enjoy when Trauma like very first started up in very few movies like after they hit it big. It was films that they started making like in the 90s, like late 90s, still today, where they still have that, oh, this is awful. Like, that's how they promote their movies. And I have a strong distaste for that. They're like, this is the worst movie you'll ever see. Like Lloyd
Full
Kaufman.
Moon a little bit.
Well, not even that. Like, at least Charles Band is proud of what they have in their catalog. But Lloyd Kaufman promotes movies on how bad he thinks they are. And it's like, oh, man, no one wanted this movie, but we got it. And it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you know, what if that director really thought what they did was great? And the whole behind the scenes thing with Father's Day, I still cannot believe Astron 6 didn't release that documentary that they were going to release. So, I mean, if you don't know the story about Father's Day, fucking Trauma totally fucked hard over Astron 6 on that. I mean, it's just a terrible, terrible thing they did. Marcus Cook, who did the special effects for We Are Still Here, he got screwed over hardcore by Lloyd Kaufman. A lot of people that I know that has worked for Trauma it's extremely bad business.
Oh, that's an interesting thing about those documentaries, because they show all of that. They show people not getting paid enough. They show them having to stay around for nonsense for like 20 hours, getting paid nothing. And I think it's like you say, like being proud of a crappy movie. They're almost proud of the shitty shooting conditions and how they treat people just as much. Their shitty
business model. Like, it's just really, and that just makes me hate it even more. But I mean, I don't hate the movies that obviously they, because they did a good thing. They bought catalogs of movies and they re-released them on their label, but they gave them like fucking awful covers and new titles, except for Dead Dudes in the House. I thought Dead Dudes in the House was pretty much one of the best titles of any movie, and Vinegar Syndrome is releasing that soon, and that movie is hilarious. Take out the villain, and when you watch the movie, there's villain, like there's something going on in the movie, but actually look at how many problems they have with opening doors in that movie. The doors are the real villains in Dead Dudes in the House. But anyways, I really enjoyed Bloodhook, and if you enjoy the special features on Bloodhook, you're welcome.
Oh, so what does that mean?
Well, I I got
Can you talk
Jim
about it?
Mallon. Yeah. I got Jim Mallon. I was able to locate him. I was able to locate Lisa Todd, which she is just she was just so nice. She was just a great person and really, really fun to talk to. And then also Marcia Cam, who was the cinematographer. If you want to hear some really fun stories, I can tell them. So anyways, I'll tell them. All right. So Brandon, he's like, if you want to help out on this movie, you can, because I help out with certain things over at Vinegar Syndrome. So Brandon asked me to be, help out with this one because they were having, I guess, a little trouble. So anyways, they were having a hard time contacting Jim Mallon. They had an email address and they emailed him, but nothing back. And so they said they really wanted him. So I have my ways of searching for people online and finding phone numbers. So I called Jim on his cell phone. And I was like, "Hey, man, this is Brad. I'm working for Vinegar Syndrome on this title." And he's like, you guys keep emailing me. I was like, "Yeah, man, answer the fucking email." And so he was like, "Okay, I'll email this Brandon guy back right now." And that's kind of how that works. Lisa Todd was great. She was listed on IMDb with her agent. And so I called her agent and I said, "Hey, this is the deal." And she's like, "Well, how much?" And I was like, "Nothing." I was like, "She already did the movie. Like, we're just asking for special features." And she was like, "Yeah, well, just give me your email address." So I'm like, "Okay, well, this is a lost cause." Like 15 minutes later, I get a call from Lisa Todd. And she's like, "Oh my God, I can't. I love doing this movie." She's like, "I love Jim. I love everything." She's like, "I want to do this. And, I mean, obviously you don't have to pay me because it's just special." She was just so excited, and she did a really good job on the interview too. She's such a sweet lady. Very happy to do that. And the other funny one was Marcia Cam. So, anyways, Marcia Cam is like more of a prolific cinematographer, like big time, like documentaries and stuff like that now. And so it was really difficult to find her. We had an email, but it wasn't, it didn't seem like it was going through, like it was valid anymore. So I look to see, who she was working with recently. So she worked on like these 3 documentaries for this one director. I was like, "Okay, that's cool. I'll just contact him if I can find him and just say, 'Hey, you worked with Marcia Cam, can you put me in touch?'" So I contact this guy, right? And I'm just like, "Hey, do you happen to know, or do you happen to have the contact for Marcia Cam still? I know you guys worked on like 3 documentaries years ago." And he said, "What is this about?" And I was like, "Okay." It was like, and this is the deal. Vinegar Syndrome wants to have her as, audio commentary, something, anything. And he goes, "Well, when you contact people, maybe you should introduce yourself first." And I said, "Well, I apologize. I'm sorry about that." I was like, and he was like, "I'll send her a message and I'll see what I can do." And I was like, "All right, cool. I was very polite. I was like, "Okay, this guy's a little, whatever." But, I'm representing, Vinegar Syndrome. I'm not going to fucking say anything, bad to embellish anything. And plus, we want this fucking interview. So I get a message back, like, I don't know, 5 minutes later, where it's just, "I contacted Marcia. I forwarded your email. Please do not contact me again." And then he fucking blocks me.
No.
And I was like, why does this guy have such a strong disdain for me? Like, what? Like, did I really upset this guy?
Way to go, Brad.
Just for reaching out. Well, anyway, she contacted, and she, at first, being that she was so quiet and it was so cold of a response from him, I figured like she didn't want to be part of Bloodhook anymore. because of where her career has went. I mean, she's won a few awards. Like she's pretty prominent cinematographer with docs and stuff. So I just said maybe she didn't want to be dealt with it anymore. But no, she's really happy. She did a long interview for the special features. It was just audio. It was no video, but still, it was just a fun ride with those 3 interactions.
Man,
so 3 different interactions with 3 different people. That all still worked out, it all came together, but it was just really, really funny. Jim was very intimidating though when speaking to him. Like he's like, I felt like he had that tone, right? Where I was in, like, shouldn't have called him, which it was really funny that I just had it. Like I found his cell phone online, and not that it's an easy thing to do or anything, so don't call Jim.
Please don't call. Please don't call Jim.
Yeah, but
actually do that and tell him that Brad Henderson sent you. No, don't do that. That'd be bad.
Would you? But anyways, all right. Continue the movies. All
right. All right. Well, that's Bloodhook. Like I said, a lot of fun, and I'd be interested in checking out the shorter cut myself. But it sounds like a strong recommendation from us all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I agree. I think it'll be a crowd pleaser.
It's got Brad all over it.
Yep. It's got my name in the special thanks, so you're welcome.
Does it? Where's the special? I'm gonna look right now. Where's special thanks? I'm looking right now. Special thanks.
It's not in the booklet. It's on the special. It's on the credits.
I don't see any special thanks
on the interviews.
Okay,
Are you
fine.
listening to me? It's on the
special.
It's on the credits of the interview.
Let's talk about 1989's. Is it 89 or 84?
84.
84. Okay, look, Blu-ray.com, you guys suck. All of your dates have been wrong. I'm going back to IMDb.
Jesus.
Bloodsuckers from Outer Space from 1984. This is directed by Glenn Coburn, who
wow, you're really
didn't really do much after that. But this felt like how Brad, you and Mike Delaney have been doing, I think of it, maybe not for a while, but the SOV PODTHE podcast.
Yeah.
This felt like this could have been very much so a SOV type film. It definitely feels homegrown. It feels very low budget, but goddamn, if I did not have a ton of fun with this flick, very basic, right? People start turning into zombies, and this kid has to get away from them. High school.
No, they start turning into bloodsuckers from outer space. Great theme song in this movie.
Oh man,
that has to be noted.
Great little flick. Had a lot of fun. Has a really good sense of humor about itself, and not like, I don't know, like it was charming. You know. I really had a good. And a lot of times, if I see a film like this and they're trying to be too funny, especially if it's something like very homegrown, I kind of like, I'll kind of see through that and get annoyed and not really get into it. This thing, they definitely like kind of skated the line and they kept it charming. And I'm curious what you guys thought of Bloodsuckers from Outer Space.
Is this the marijuana thing? Are they like dusting for like marijuana crops? All right, so that's toxic. So. That's a movie called Toxic Zombies. Then
this is just they're bloodsuckers from outer space, and there's.
I could talk about toxic zombies for an hour.
Okay, but
toxic
I can't because that's not the movie that we're covering. I haven't really seen. I haven't seen Bloodsuckers. From outer space.
You told me you didn't get to. Sorry, I was gonna say
he
this one out.
To us.
Very little. But so I can't speak on behalf of it because I honestly I know I've seen it, but I do not remember it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I meant to send this question Stephanie's way. Sorry for leaving it open. Stephanie, what did you think of Bloodsuckers from Outer Space?
Oh, I loved it. Again, this was when I heard some people saying like, "Oh, it's stupid," and no, it's fucking hilarious. Now I'm a cheese ball. I'll admit that. But it has almost every kind of humor in this. It breaks the fourth wall. It turns right to the camera and talks to you. It has slapstick. It has wordplay. One of my favorite lines was they're going up to a potentially scary scenario, and they say, "Damn, that incidental music's scary."
Yeah, it's like something straight out of Airplane. It was straight up parody. There's some things in this that you would feel at home in like an Airplane film or a Naked Gun film, but somehow it all works.
Yeah, no, it's pretty spoofy. And there's one scene where they go outside and she's like, "I'm not going out there. There's a barren wasteland out there." And the next scene, I was expecting a guy to be dressing all fancy, say, "How dare you? I'm barren wasteland." And it doesn't happen. But
man.
I
Opportunity missed.
100% expected that to happen. It's that kind of movie. So if you like silly horror comedies, that I think it's like their first movie out of film school that they did an entire movie of. This will definitely be up your alley. If you're a very serious person, you don't have time for nonsense, you won't dig that. This is pure nonsense.
Pure nonsense. I mean, it is almost parody of these types of films. It's exactly. I mean, if you look at that cover, especially like there's a Shriek Show cover that's on IMDb here. That's exactly what you're gonna get. No, these the same picture on the Blu-ray as well. So definitely you know what you're gonna get. A lot of fun to be had, and this is something you can probably not like young kids, but you can probably like maybe your 9 or 10-year-old kids can maybe accidentally leave it by the player and they can put it in and watch it.
Yeah, if they're curious about horror.
It's kind of a good little introduction. Kind of doesn't take itself seriously. And especially, I don't know. I don't think there's anything too tantalizing.
No, the sex scene, they're off camera and they do like ooh sound effects.
It's very. Yeah, I mean, there's a few horror gags, like an arm getting ripped off and stuff like that. But I mean, at this, kids these days, they know what zombies are. They've seen it all. They're watching The Walking Dead.
These days. With the hula hoops and their disembowelings on prime time.
What's fun about this one is it does have a really good making of documentary on it. And since this was kind of a local thing, like this is one of those things, it looks like, everyone and who knew everyone got involved with this film. So it's almost an hour-long documentary on the making of it. And it's pretty fun to watch. And there's also a couple of little featurettes, but I was really pleased to see like that special feature on there. Did you watch any of the special features on this, Stephanie?
I did watch the making of documentary you're talking about. It's called 34 Years Later. And it's great. Even like, let's say maybe the movie wasn't completely to your taste. If you're interested in like very low budget filmmaking, they go pretty in depth with how they pulled everything off. So that was cool. And I haven't listened to it, but there is a commentary as well.
Fantastic. So I mean, I had a lot of fun with this, but it definitely is a goofy horror sci-fi-ish type film. 80, it's a quick 82 minutes. Brad probably would still hate it.
Maybe. If you like Return of the Killer Tomatoes, you'll probably.
Okay, that's probably a good comparison. Not as goofy as Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, but
wait. Why
what about the scene with the nuclear bomb?
No. Okay, let's jump to why Brad would hate this.
I'm just giving you shit, man.
Well, I mean, truth comes from somewhere.
Because you're serious and hardcore.
Dude, one of my favorite movies of all time is Return of the Killer Tomatoes. So you just actually talked me into it.
You might actually like this.
Well, I did actually.
Right. And I enjoy like spoofy horror films. I just watched, rewatched Student Bodies with Willow last week, and Willow tries to be like really tough and dark. But she got to belly laugh.
Okay.
And Student Bodies, which made me even laugh more. And it's that scene whenever she goes to the counselor and the counselor is like rearranging everything in his office, and he's making it like cockeyed and stuff. But right before that, he pushes his chair away from his desk violently, and he slams into the wall. But he slams into the wall so fucking hard that it looks like the actor didn't mean for it to happen. And it's just, I've never heard that kid laugh that hard in comedy before. But anyways, that movie's still hilarious.
Awesome.
It's a total clusterfuck at times. But yeah, I enjoy spoofy movies.
Well, then, Brad,
you know what?
I would say you check this out. I think you
gonna
like
watch
this. And
I own it. I will.
Okay.
I will watch it.
Okay.
I didn't know we were covering it on this episode, or I would have watched it. But I'm gonna watch it this weekend, and then I'm gonna send you a mean fucking text.
Okay, fine. All right, fine.
It's gonna be really mean.
No, do a recording so he can
Yeah.
edit
Send me
the show.
send me an audio text, please.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep things moving along. We're going to talk about Blue Vengeance in just a second, but a funny thing happened. I need to tell a little story. That James from Vinegar Syndrome, so they'll send us things when they can first to cover on the show, and he knows not to include the pornography in my package, and I get a package, and I can't remember what came with what, but it was supposed to be SWEETBACK'S Badass Song, and then what other ones came in that package? Does anyone know I think it was Terror.
What was the blood? No, Sweetback was Bloodsuckers.
Okay, so Bloodsuckers
right?
and Sweetback. Okay, so I get Sweetback, Bloodsuckers, and I get one other movie called. No, I don't get Sweetback. I get Bloodsuckers, and I get Her Name Was Lisa.
Yeah, which is
I was this looks like a little exploitation film. I guess I hit James up and I said, hey, can you send me Sweetback? And he said, oh, my mistake, but you told me you didn't like sex, so I didn't send you Sweetback.
You don't like sex.
Yeah, he goes, you don't like sex, so I that's why I didn't include it in the package. And I was like, okay, fine. And so I pop in Her Name Was Lisa, and immediately I open up the case and I see the first quote I see when I take out the disc says, full erection, 100%. Finally, a film I can rave about. Erotically stupendous. From Hustler magazine. I was like, huh, okay. I was like, but they're not supposed. They don't send me this stuff. So I put the movie in, and of course, 10 minutes in, there is full on, maybe even less. I don't know. All I know is, this is a porno.
Them to send you a package.
And I just started cracking up because I guarantee you, I think James did that on purpose. I need to
laughter?
ask him.
Yeah. So. What's funny though is that to me, I think it's funny that Vanessa Del Rio's name is plastered on the front.
I have no idea who the names are. But you don't have no
idea who that is.
I have no idea.
Okay. That made me think with MMA, if you want to look that up on Google, make sure you write MMA movie or the year it came out, because apparently there is an adult actress named MMA who's very popular.
Well, I did want to but I did want to. And I'm sure
I didn't even think about that.
It is Roger Watkins who did Corruption and who did Last House on Dead End Street. So this isn't your normal adult film, because the premise of it is, that basically an actress
pretty good
is found dead of a heroin overdose, and it's basically they go to the funeral and they're memorializing her and basically talking about these stories about her, and it's like the most batshit crazy setup for a film you can have. And so like Corruption, it's a little different than your normal, a skin flick. So if you're into that, if you liked Corruption, you probably would dig this. I didn't finish watching it. It's like my door was open. My wife was in the other room watching The Bachelor or something like that. And my kids were in the other room. I was like, I better turn this off and not finish watching this. But
oh God, they're doing the dirty deed again. I got a fast.
It's not in this house.
It's not. We've talked about this before. It's not that I'm a prude. It's about this other circumstances.
Fucking Dick Van Dyke show over at Sean's house.
Yeah, there's other circumstances that kind of having this stuff around would
no toilet in the bathroom. Single beds, tripping over the fucking furniture.
Single beds.
Yeah, it's a like old fucking TV show. No, like the Brady Bunch bathroom. There's no toilet.
And there's only one bathroom.
That's hilarious. I never noticed that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, because they weren't allowed to show that shit.
I know, that's crazy. Anyway, but I know enough to recognize that this is probably if you collect these films, if you like Corruption, I guarantee you.
No, it's a good movie. Yeah. Like it actually has like some time in it. I mean, they got Vanessa Del Rio to be in it, which she was a pretty big time star at the time. But yeah, taking on a more serious approach. Roger Watkins is like old school Axel Braun, like actually trying to bring a story into what they were doing. And like I said, I've said before, Axel Braun is though, do you? Sean?
I have no idea. I'm just saying, like I've said before, I can respect a film that does that. As of course, I did cover Corruption on one of the early Vinegar Syndrome episodes.
That movie is great, man. Just cinematography wise.
You know what? There's two that we've covered that I can really like stand behind and be like, look, these are actually interesting films. Corruption and Sex World. Like those two films have a lot. Like they actually have things to say. And Sex World especially, like that movie there's a lot of subtext to that film, and that actually makes it an interesting film and something. There's even stuff like to think about with the plot of that film and the scenarios. Like it's actually I can respect that it does that. So
I'm telling you, man, next time Jen's out like on vacation and the kids are out, hot and saucy pizza girls.
We covered that.
I actually gave that a watch, Brad. You must not have heard our last episode. But
it was us trying to giggle through the golden age of our products.
I did give Hot and Saucy Pizza Girls a watch. It's all right.
Oh. Okay, let's move on to the next.
It's okay.
I'm done.
All right, let's jump into.
I'm glad I wasn't on that episode. I would have had a fucking fit.
Well, I'm glad you weren't too.
The last disc we'll talk about. This is a film called Blue Vengeance from 1989. It's awesome. I would say, Brad, Blue Vengeance has just catapulted to the top of my heavy metal horror list. Would you consider this a heavy metal horror film?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in the sense of like it is a horror film, but it also, it's one of those things because we're up for like people always do this like debate now, like with a psychological thriller or something like that, which I get annoyed by it. But I don't look at Blue Vengeance as a horror film, and this is probably why. Is that this was like the cover that I've always seen in the drama section.
Oh, really?
And like whenever I was little, and I just remember that cover because it was really bland. It was like a cop, like a silhouette of a cop, like holding a gun with like this big badge on the front, and it was like everything looked like faded. And I don't know if it was because the bees were facing this windows, and usually in video stores when that happened, they were really, the tapes got, sun like light damage, they'd get faded and shit. And I don't know if it was because of that, but I just always remember seeing it and never ever renting it, just because it looked boring from even the front cover. I mean, you wanted stuff with like, weird shit on the front, or like Frankenhooker, where you press the button, said want a date or something like that, or the Dead Pit cover that eyes glowed. You want something cool, So the front cover, the cover never got me. And
marketing misfire for sure.
Yeah, and it was just I need to look up just the cover to get a better visual. That's what I remember. I'm pretty sure it was the VHS cover for the US. But anyways, it wasn't until like maybe a couple years of searching in the video store. I think my grandmother, because it was a video time, you'd pick up these tickets and take them to the counter. You didn't take the tape or anything. They have these tickets like on nails like a little hook, like a tag, and you take that, and they would give you the tape. And I remember seeing the title Blue Vengeance, and I was like, oh man, that's that movie that has that cover. Like, hopefully there's just boobs in it or something that will get me through the watching of it. And that's how I was when I was a little man. A movie bored me. As long as it had boobs in it, I'd be all right. And I remember watching it and then thinking, this is nothing like what this cover looks like. This is kind of nutty. And I totally forgot about the movie. Like, it completely, like, I watched it and I was surprised that it wasn't like super boring and like a slow, like, Two Moon Junction drama, which Two Moon Junction's pretty good once you grow up. Stephanie, have you seen Two Moon Junction?
With Sherilyn Fenn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You like it?
Yes.
That seems like a Stephanie movie. But anyways, so, you know, I remember watching it when I was little thinking, just, oh, this is fucking boring shit. And I grew up and I really ended up liking Two Moon Junction. But I just thought it was going to be something like that, and it wasn't. And I think it wasn't until it was announced, I was like, oh, Blue Vengeance, what is that? And then I watched the trailer and I was like, oh shit, I remember that. And I rewatched it and I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I thought it was really good. But I think maybe that's why I don't consider it heavy metal horror. But it should be, you know, because I mean, there is a lot of like horror elements as far as like what is happening in the movie, you know?
Yeah.
So,
No,
and plus, it does have to deal with music because he's trying to kill his old band members.
Yeah.
So it's music centric, but it didn't have a good enough soundtrack. Like when the music hits at those certain scenes, it's really good. But I felt like the movie should have been clouded with rock music.
Right. They leave that for kind of the club scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just so short lived and. Like, I even forget, like, because, like, I mean, when we watch these heavy metal horror films, like, there's some type of, like, substantial, like, something big, like, you know, Black Roses, the opening scene, you know, like, Me Against the World by Cinderella, and they're all monsters performing, you know, or something throughout the film. I mean, even something as such as, like, The Gate, like, you remember the music in that scene, and I even consider that kind of heavy metal horror in a way. But yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I need to watch it again and pay more attention to the music. But when I was watching it, I wasn't thinking about that until you just mentioned something.
Well, he's a straight up metalhead.
Yeah.
Like I mean, here's what I liked about the plot.
It even has that medieval shit going on in the background.
Yeah, it's like Saxon flashbacks.
Yeah. And it does have a lot of metal qualities to it too.
Well, and here's what I like about the plot. I like that for the most part, it starts out with our villain, and you're kind of sympathetic to him in a way because he escapes like a mental institution and hitches a ride to town, and he's like so charming as he's trying to get rides from people. But then he'll just
like
brutally murder someone.
Guys with long hair, he is cute.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed watching him.
And then he has those, you know, Viking type flashbacks, medieval flashback things, and where he's kind of pursued and controlled in a way by these visions. And then he makes it home, and his mom's obviously crazy as well, because his mom's like, where have you been? It's like, hasn't he been in the mental institution for the past few years? Like, where did you think he'd go? But his room's almost exactly the way he left it. He's blasting some metal. He is walking around still with a blood splattered shirt for some reason, going to the club and watching the band play. And then like you're kind of introduced to the other main character, the good guy, the cop, who is kind of tortured by, he's like off duty, right? Or he's on suspension because of some traumatic things happen. So maybe it hasn't even been, it has only been about a year.
When she buys the tape, the rare tape for like $14, and then he tells his backstory. It's towards the end of the movie. It's like an hour and 10 minutes in the movie that he actually tells that story.
Right, and you kind of I like the pacing of this film because you really get to kind of hang out with the bad guy and you actually kind of get to kind of like him or see like this guy's tortured in a sense and kind of go along for the
mom.
ride.
It's very similar to like this, like I agree with you. It is heavy metal horror. The more and more I think about it, but You know that this movie, especially like Gritty New York, this feels like a love child of Driller Killer.
Oh,
like maybe it's teenage brother.
Yeah, he feels like an Abel Ferreira, like, you know, that I forget his name in the film, but he feels like I feel like he's taking on that role a little bit. So I mean, in that again, like there's, you know, some great music scenes in that. And when he's playing, when he goes to his house and his mom's complaining about being late for dinner, and he closes the door and he puts on that record and he picks up his guitar, that's very, like, I got the Driller Killer scene, like, in my head when they're practicing and they keep playing that same bass line over and over and over. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with you. But, yeah, there's some definitely feels like some heavy. And plus, it's like the Gritty New York thing. It really has this Driller Killer vibe.
Yeah. Stephanie, your thoughts on Blue Vengeance. Was this your first time watching this?
Yes, it was. I didn't know anything about this going in. Yeah, it's definitely, in my opinion, a metal horror film. I did think it was interesting because the lead, Mark Trex, he looks like a speed metal kind of dude, but in all of his fantasies when he's murdering people, he kind of goes into like he's Viking metal, like he's a member of
Right.
Manowar or something. So I think they're trying to cover their bases.
What's the actor's name what's his name that plays the main guy?
I don't know. He looks very familiar, though.
I'm trying to find it. He must be someone who didn't really do a whole lot because I can't find like his picture here in on IMDb. Is it Paul Borges? What's the lead character's name? Henny? No?
No, Mark Trex.
Mark
Yeah,
Trex.
And the commentary is with an actor, John Weiner, so it might be him.
I like John Wiener.
It's usually they'll go by Weiner when their name is spelled out.
his
Mark
last
Trex.
name
John.
is
Yeah,
Trex.
John. Well, Weiner. Yeah. I don't. So okay. So I'm trying to pull he has 13 credits. So he was like the star of this film, and it's like I'm shocked that I'm not seeing him, that I didn't see him in anything big after that, because I think he's fantastic in this. And I don't think it doesn't look like he had any really big starring
He kind of
roles.
looks like Ezra Miller a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's
Anyway.
dreamy. And and I got a little bit of like you got Driller Killer. I got a little bit of like Don't Go Into the House vibes too.
Ooh, yeah.
And even like a little bit
What's going on with that movie? Why isn't that out on Blu-ray?
it is. Code Red, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The one where he locks the people up and burns them to death?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that totally got a Code Red release for sure.
What number is it?
I don't
know what number
I
it
have
is.
that memorized.
I'm looking at my... Dude, are you for real?
For real.
Can you look up on the thing and see what number it is?
What?
Oh my god.
All mine are in numerical order.
Yeah, see,
I don't
why
own
I
that. That's actually one of the few Code Reds I don't own.
That's why I alphabetize them.
Yeah, I don't see the spine number. Sorry. I don't know.
But anyway,
Jeez.
yeah.
I'm gonna
You're
derail.
freaking me out
I'm gonna
right
spend
now.
20 minutes searching for the spine number of Don't Go in the House. Look, if you own
Okay.
Don't Go in the House on Code Red, email us the spine number.
I
We'll
will
get to
find
Brad.
it. I have them all written down.
But even though the plots are very different, when you spend time really establishing things with the killer, but then the plot switches back to everyone trying to piece together and find him. It reminded me of Fade to Black a little bit,
Oh,
just
yeah.
with that specific thing. No, I really like Blue Vengeance. It's
Awesome.
a really fun slasher.
Yeah, definitely check this out if you haven't. It's one of those if you haven't seen it, you definitely need to check this out. There's 2 commentaries on it with the actor John. I'm gonna say Wiener because that's how it's spelled. And then a commentary with co-writer, co-director, and star J. Christian Ingvortsen. Please pronounce that correctly. Apologize.
You drew it out like Eartha Kitt, so it has to be right.
I think so. I think I did a pretty good job. So yeah, definitely check this thing out. It's worth. I mean, I absolutely loved it. So this is another one that comes with a movie as a bonus feature. It's a film from 1996 from Danny Kutchuk, starring Heather Graham, Ted Raimi, Lisa Zane, and Leslie Ann Warren. It's called The First Man. And I missed this as well. And I'm trying to see why this would be on this disc. Because he's a co-director. Okay, co-director.
Made it. Yeah.
Oh, so the two directors directed this. Very interesting. I had never heard about this film, but you had me at Heather Graham. Did you?
Yeah,
give
like
this a
in
watch?
one of the.
All right, I found it.
Oh God!
Oh, thank God.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, well, you clearly don't
What's the spine-
appreciate
what's the
it,
spine
so
number?
send it to me.
So it's a scorpion. No, I don't own it. I found it on Ronin Flicks. So is it because it says Scorpion
red.
releasing, but it's a code red release. It says Scorpion on the thing.
All right, I don't know.
What the fuck? How do I?
Yeah, but in one of the first scenes, you get Ted Raimi proposing to Heather Graham, like a pre-fame Heather Graham, and it's like kind of a science fiction movie as much as Liquid Sky was, I guess. But right from the start of the movie, it has kind of that like 90s Miramax film, like Reservoir Dogs was very influential on it a little bit. It's nothing like Blue Vengeance, so it's an interesting addition.
Awesome. I want to check this out. I mean, it looks like it's super low budget. I'm trying to find the estimate of the budget right here. It says
It's not bad looking, but
Okay.
yeah.
Low budget. Yes, they put it into the sci-fi genre. All the plot says is the first alien man has arrived on Earth and no woman can refuse him. Is that the vibe you got from the movie? No, I'm assuming that's not the vibe you got from it. Well, also,
it's one of those ones where I would just be doing a disservice. Especially if you're a fan of the actors in it, I would check it out. It's a really fun extra film.
As compared to Last Man on Earth.
I can't believe they don't go into the
Movie?
house.
Sorry, no. As compared to the Man Who Fell to Earth. Sorry.
David Bowie.
Yeah, the Bowie film.
No, that's like a slow meditative.
Okay.
Like
so not compared to that. Okay, so are we in between? Are we in there? I
guess.
I'm not gonna start throwing out more movies. All right, cool. Well, that's a fun little feature. I mean, this is what I get about these films being like a special feature. It sounds like it's just a fun little oddity to kind of visit. They may or may not be really good, but it's kind of fun. I mean, this, starring Heather Graham and Ted Raimi. Is she starring in it or is she just appearing in it?
She's in it.
She's in it. Okay. All right. Okay. Very cool. That's the Blue Vengeance disc. Highly recommended from us, I believe. You can say I would definitely say that blind buying this, you will not go wrong. You will have some fun.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm not going
film.
to give away the ending, but the ending is a fucking corker.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, the ending is awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely go into, yeah. I've been careful not to reveal any major spoilers. Like, I mean, we kind of spoiled a movie where a guy uses his dick to kill people. But I mean,
But Brad told us to, so blame him.
I know. It's all Brad's fault. Well, that will officially do us in for this episode of the Screamcast. I want to thank all of you guys for listening.
I agree.
Awkward pause. You can find us over at thescreamcast.com. You can find us on Twitter at Scream_cast. And you can also find us over at screamingpods.com with a handful of other awesome shows. Please check all them out, and hopefully maybe you'll find a new favorite podcast on there. I don't know.
Maybe.
You can also check out our store there. We have some mugs and stickers for sale, and check those out if you want to kind of support the podcast. Also, if you want to support the podcast, you can become a member of Club Scum. You will get an official membership card, which, I mean, who doesn't want a Club Scum membership card? And you get a 20% discount on our merchandise in the store there. But also, you get some extra little podcast stuff. I do when I'm able to. I do a little thing called Sean Stack. You can check that out. And we also do kind of surprise giveaways. And I got a huge stack of DVDs and Blu-rays I'm gonna start giving away. I don't know if I'm gonna do a drawing, or maybe I just might start sending them out randomly to people, to our members of Club Scum. I haven't figured that out yet, but we like to kind of do fun stuff like that. But if you just want to support the show, it's a good way for you to get involved and support the Screamcast.
Yeah. When Sean sends me movies, I have to mail them back. So you guys are making out like bandits.
Man.
That's messed up, Sean.
I know, it's pretty fucked up. I apologize. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Huge thank you to our sponsors. Check them out over at thescreamcast.com/sponsors. Vinegar Syndrome, of course, is the label we are talking about today. Please, they had a pretty great sale, and you should, if you missed out, man, you missed out on some cool shit. So check them out over at vinegarsyndrome.com. Also, Coffee Shop of Horrors. If you want some awesome coffee, you can get a discount using our code Screamcast. You get 10% off your order. Also, make sure you're checking out Grindhouse Video, and whenever you're searching for some new flicks, give them a shot over at grindhousevideo.com. Music by Wolfman of Mars. Our artwork by Kevin Spencer. I want to thank all you guys for listening. We'll be back next time.
Oh, yeah, something to plug.
We are gonna plug. I'll let you plug it. We are gonna be talking about the It's Alive trilogy. Anya Stanley, otherwise known as is it Bookish Pinko? Her Twitter.
Plinko, yeah.
Plinko. Bookish Plinko on Twitter. She'll be joining us. She'll be joining us for some talk about killer babies. So that should be a lot of fun to bring her on. Brad, what do you have to plug?
I will be probably tomorrow or the following day. I will have a VHS of Don't Go Into the House on eBay. I would like to get at least $50 for it, and I'm going to buy the Blu-ray on Rotoflix.
Oh, shit. Okay.
What's my cut since I let you know this exists?
Yeah.
Well, depending on what it is, it might change 5%. Right now, it's 10%. But if I only make like $20, it might drop down to like 0%. And you'll just get story buy credit or something.
Okay, all right. That's enough. We don't thank all you guys for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving. The party's just begun.